The person at the Benton Harbor High School Library. All persons in attendance wear a mask at all times other than when addressing the board. A recording of this meeting will be posted to the district cloud. Public participation will only be available at the in-person meeting or via questions submitted ahead of time as noted below. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education and Public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. This meeting is an in-person meeting at the location listed above. Questions may be submitted beforehand to liz.goodwin@bhas.org or presented in person during the public comment sections as indicated in the agenda. Board members may be contacted through the emails listed below. Requests for special assistance, including for persons with disabilities, may be sent to liz.goodwin@bhas.org. Board of Education, we shall stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Secretary Triplett, may we have the roll call, please?
President Robinson, Vice President Bradley.
Present.
Secretary Triplett, present. Treasurer Creighton.
Present.
Trustee Bowen. Trustee Buchanan.
Present.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Present.
A quorum has been established.
Thank you. Next, we will have the approval of tonight's agenda. I'll give you a few minutes to look it over. I do have a few areas that I would like to be addressed as well.
And then I have a question when.
Yes, go ahead, Treasurer
Okay.
Creighton.
I just wonder, I thought we decided that we were gonna have a policy meeting. Did something, I don't know if I left early or were we having a meeting just for policy or is that?
I know we was going to establish a policy committee to go over the policies. I know these were some of the policies that were postponed from the last meeting, correct? The second readings, because I know that's what we wanted to review was some of the policies. So I don't know what happened with that getting that started.
Yeah, for some reason, I thought I remembered that we were going to have a meeting to go over the policies so that we can talk about them and discuss them, but I could be wrong. That was one of my questions.
Okay.
And then I know that it's been a lot of discussion at the last few meetings about establishing like time limits. And so I just wonder, is that something that the board was still interested in doing tonight? I don't know that I appreciated time as much as I did before I started working. And so now just being mindful that, you know, we do start our day, some of us at 6 or 7. It is unrealistic for me to be here to 10.
We can set that up.
Okay.
What I'll do is I'll have Liz set up a timer and we'll just go from there.
Okay,
And
thank you.
do that. The next area, I wanted to make a motion as it comes to our HR area. I wanted to see if we could do, for the separation of employment, we could do a consent agenda for that, so that way we can have an efficient meeting. And then under the new hires, there was one I just wanted to take out and separate. So I don't know if I could put a motion on the floor to do that. Okay, so because I want to make that motion for making the consent for the separation of employments.
Can you give us a chance to,
Yes, go ahead.
separation? Gotcha.
Vice President Bradley, do you want me to make the timer for 3 minutes like usual?
All right, any issues with the resignations?
Mine won't pull up, but I did get a chance to.
It's in the binder
Okay.
under H2.
So I would like to put a motion on the floor that we do a consent agenda for the separation of employments.
It was a motion on the floor. You already.
Oh,
motion
okay,
on
so the motion on the floor.
And Ms. Rackett.
Okay, second, okay, okay.
So we need to vote.
Oh, okay. So can we get a vote, Secretary Triplett? Thank you for keeping me on the straight and narrow tonight.
We all right. Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, no. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Rackett Martin,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
I don't really want to. I need to know. Come on.
Making a consent agenda where we just vote on one item for the separation of employment. Instead of voting, having 8 different motions, it would just be one.
Yeah,
motion carried.
Okay, thank you.
Vice
And-
President Bradley, oh, go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
Was not present at the HR committee, but I just wondered, I noticed, is this already a consent agenda for the new hire?
Yes, it is.
And so why was it differentiated?
Can elaborate on that, please?
Why it was not a consent
Yeah.
agenda? Because I thought that you guys wanted it separated, and I talked to President Robinson about it. Next month, we'll start doing one and one, like consent on both of them.
Okay, okay,
Okay,
all right.
After printing
And
everything.
then,
so I would like to make a motion to separate the teachers in training from the other positions that is on the consent agenda in H8.
can I get a second for that motion?
So moved.
Okay, all right. And let's call a vote on that.
Discussion? Did we get
Any
discussion?
questions, comments, or concerns?
Yeah, sure. So I just wonder, was these positions talked about in facilities? I'm sorry, in HR?
yes.
Okay. And then I noticed that one of the people that are listed is one of our vendors currently.
For which one?
For H8.
Which name?
Not gonna say a name because I'm not sure if it's,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I'm just
Is it-
saying, has it
Because
been-
I was gonna take out one as well. So that's,
Okay,
yeah. so
perfect.
It's, yeah,
Yep. So I'm just, so the motion, it hasn't been voted on, but the recommendation, just to be clear, that the 5 teacher and training positions and then the other 2 be separate. So then that would be 3 staff reports instead of 1. That's the current motion, correct?
yes.
Okay, so I just wonder if this was discussed in HR, were you guys aware that that one of the people on this list was a vendor? Or a contractor? Okay, all right. All right.
Okay, can I get a roll call on that, please?
On the roll call of what? I don't know.
On the motion to separate the teachers in training from the other 2 names on the
Staff report,
on the
H,
staff, H8.
Mr. Triplett is in the binder towards the end.
Yes. Okay.
H8 is like 5
Yeah.
pages from the end.
Okay. So we're pulling out the teachers in training.
Mhm. In one, and then the other 2 administrative positions separately.
Okay, and did you just want to be a consent for the teachers in training?
Yes.
Okay,
Got it?
okay, you can go ahead
Vice
and call.
President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Rackett Martin,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
Yeah.
Trustee Bowen,
Abstain.
motion carried.
Okay, so we have a consent right there for the teachers in training. And then I want to put a motion on the floor to have the facilities director as a separate vote. Can I have a second for that motion?
That was my motion.
Okay, so that's what you wanted to do
Yeah,
that?
so I wanted to do the 5 teachers in training, and then both administrators separately.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine. Then we got that. So
Yeah.
we're on the same page. Okay,
Yeah.
awesome.
One noted correction, Liz, for the last teacher in training, I think the date is wrong, so yeah, that's just a small notation. It says 5/8/23, just in case we don't catch it on the minutes. Okay.
All right, and then can we get a vote on the agenda with the aforementioned modifications?
I make a motion that we approve the agenda for tonight's meeting with the noted corrections or modifications.
Oh, okay.
second the motion.
All right, the motion was called by Treasurer Creighton, second by Trustee Rocket Martin. Get a roll.
Discussion.
Questions, comments, or concern?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay, go
I have a
ahead.
question about the closed session.
Okay,
So the HRI resolution, is that in here somewhere?
Very last
The
page.
very last page. Okay. Got it. Thank you. That was my only question.
okay, and we can get the roll from Secretary Triplett.
President Robinson.
Present.
We're not-
Yes.
Approval of the agenda.
So what, can you all let me know what modifications were made?
We did a consent agenda for the separations, and then we're gonna do each administrative position separate.
The hires?
Yes, for the new hires, and a consent agenda for the teachers in training.
Okay, yes.
Vice President Bradley.
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton.
Yes.
Trustee Bowen.
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, we're going to have the review of the board norms. We have 1, pausing, 2, paraphrasing, 3, posing questions, 4, putting ideas on the table, providing data, paying attention to self and others, and lastly, pursuing positive attentions. And we try to do that as a board, and we want our audience to do that as well. All right, next we'll have. Yeah, that page. Okay, thank you. Oh, and then we have our Board of Education norms. We will treat each other with respect. We will listen to learn. We will refrain from side conversations. We will use our time wisely, starting and ending our meetings on time. We will challenge ideas, not people. We will ask questions when in doubt. There will be no surprises at the board table. We will practice the 7 norms of collaboration. All right, next on the agenda, we have public comment on agenda items only. Is there anyone to make a comment on the agenda items only?
I have a question. I think we have a new policy with public comments. Is that correct?
President Robinson, could you elaborate on that?
The public comment statement is slightly different.
Okay,
So it allows them to speak in multiple sections on the agenda. As long as no one has, as long as everyone who wants to speak on those sections have spoken.
okay, thank you. All right, next we have, is no public comment for the agenda items. Next, we have approval of the minute meetings. I'll give you a few seconds to peruse over those for the regular session on 7/12/22 and the special session on 7/30/2022.
Didn't change it because it's not on the roll call. And then you keep it in. But then we can add it. Yes. Is it like-
If there are no questions, comments, or concerns.
But we'll do it after.
Yes, Secretary.
Minutes.
That was our board retreat.
Okay. I have a motion on the floor. Can I have a second?
Support.
Was that a motion to approve the minutes?
The-
Yeah, the minutes.
So that's what I was gonna say. I supported with the noted correction of minutes and not agenda.
I second.
Okay, can we get a roll call for Secretary?
Y'all got me confused. I'm
Are
up
there
here.
any, so I'll go ahead and take over. Are there
Yeah.
any questions, comments, or concerns on approval of the meeting minutes for 7/12/2022 and 7/30/2022? Hearing none, Secretary Triplett.
President Robinson.
Yes.
Vice President Bradley.
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton.
Yes.
Trustee Bowen.
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, so we'll go ahead and move along to board business. I want to thank Vice President Bradley for jumping in and assisting me with chairing the meeting in my absence. Feels good to be here. Yes, Secretary Triplett.
So did we eventually, since we made all the adjustments to the, did we approve the agenda?
Yes, we did.
Yes, that's the motion that I said present for when it was yes.
Liz, please, let me know. Thank you. Okay.
All right, so next on the agenda under board business, we have our finance report from Ms. Creighton, and she did email that over to us in advance. Treasurer Creighton.
Thank you. The Finance Committee did reschedule the meeting, and so our July meeting was actually held August 4th due to some scheduling problems. And we had a very good meeting. Present, we had President Robinson and myself. Sorry, on this report, I put your wrong last name. I apologize. I just caught that
Okay.
right now. And then, so in the meeting with Mr. Johnson, it was a very good meeting, and with Dr. Butts. If you look at the printed report, we talked about the curriculum consumables, and I don't know if we have an update now for that, but some of the things that we pretty much discussed. So we are in a, what can I say, like a pickle, because with all of the different state, federal guidelines with purchasing, we have a $25,000 threshold basically. And so two of our core subject supplemental materials are under that, but then the ELA is double. And so we do have to do a formal RFP in that whole process. And so we just explore ways that we can kind of make sure that we have a good start of the school year academically. And so Dr. Butts and Mr. Johnson was committed to taking those ideas and doing what they needed to do to make sure our students have the supplemental materials that are needed. We also talked about our ESSER 1, 2, and 3, and it's very complicated to understand. And so I did include the entire finance report with the ESSER reports in that email last week. But basically, I know that Vice President Bradley asked a question, and so I just want to take a few seconds to kind of address the major part of what was sent out by Liz today about the questions. And so it was a good question about supplanting and supplementing. And normally in a grant kind of world, you're not able to supplant, which means if it's something, so if you have a sandwich, a basic ingredient is bread, right? So you can't buy bread with the money because bread is a part of your sandwich already. But you might can buy avocados, right? Because avocados might not be a normal ingredient to put on a sandwich. And so basically that would be my analogy with understanding the difference between supplementing and supplanting. So normally the grant is used to supplement or to buy something that you normally wouldn't be able to buy, but you still might want it, right? But supplanting is you can actually use that money to buy pay for a basic need. So that's pretty much the difference. And so a lot of what Mr. Johnson and the superintendent, the current one and the former one, they did what we would refer to as supplant. So they did some backcasting, used some of the grant money to actually pay for current expenses, which has helped kind of with our fund balance, and which is the positive thing. Instead of going shopping to buy a bunch of clothes when you get extra money, you actually take care of your bills and then you save the rest. And that's pretty much what our superintendent and chief of finance is doing in a nutshell. And so that's what we talked about. There are some things on that report. When you get a second to look at it, you'll notice that we are paying for some new CTE programs, student activities. There are a lot of things that are new that we are supplementing, but the majority of the money was used to supplant so that we can have a positive balance to be able to move forward and to do things that we need to do. Questions about the finance committee report?
I have a question, Madam Chairman. Every month for 2 years, we get this report, BHAS difficult to read
Mhm.
or interpret in the 11th hour. We've had millions of dollars that have come through here. I've asked for 2 months now for an itemized list of all of the spending for the ESSER funds, how they were spent. None of this money has gotten down to the ground and for the purpose in which it was used. Until you tell me something different, that's going to be my understanding of what it is.
Okay, so if you
No,
refer
no,
to.
I'm not finished.
Okay, I apologize. I
Yeah,
thought you.
Yeah, and that's not to you. I'm saying until I'm told something different where I can see where this money actually goes. Every question, every time I have asked a question, and this is why I think that it's very critical that we need to, and I know everybody is busy, people got lives and works and what have you, but we also have a commitment to these responsibilities and to this community. And I appreciate the committee piece, but I think that we need to go back to our committee as a whole meeting and then come back. We were just at the cusp of us being able to have those types of discussions because I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel that I'm giving from the reports that's being given from the committee, not to negate. I feel like the finance committee may have an understanding because they're able to have that discourse. But as a trustee of this Board of Education, that's not working for me. And, you know, we have a seasoned finance, chief of finance. We talk about writing grants and we have principals who are all master degree level individuals. We're talking about grant money, supplanting, all of that, those types of things, what should come out of our general fund, there should not be any mistakes. People have put in title funds because they weren't used in a timely manner. This is not something that is new. This has almost basically been the way in which this district has operated. You go down to the end of the school year, now you got a whole bunch of money that y'all gotta spend quickly when these budgets should be with these principles from the beginning of the year. Once we accept these budgets, everybody know what they have in their budget. There should never be a time that a dime goes back to Title I, Title nothing. There should never be a time in Ben Harbor area schools in the shape that we're in that 1 cent goes back because we did not meet deadlines, because we did not meet or people did not know. We sent a report. We go in and we do our grants and different things and it's kicked back. It should never be kicked back because we have a lot of money up top. And these things before they leave this school district should have already been vetted. As a former principal, I was told during our tenure an assistant principal that these accounts were ghost accounts. And it appeared that that's the same way. Our teachers still don't have the thing. There is a way that you could take that title money and not be supplanting and actually supplement what it is that we're doing. And so I guess I'll keep it, I'll close it down. I'll close it down because I don't know how to say, you know, everybody's so sensitive and take everything personal. But this finance, with all this money that we got, everything looks the same to me. Teachers still don't have materials. We just don't, it don't look right. And so this is the last time that I will ask or request a meeting with the president of this Board of Education and the superintendent of this district to express my concerns before I go public. I don't want to go public.
This is public.
Yeah, I ain't went public with my specifics, but I'm very, very serious and I want it as soon as possible because I have some serious concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Triplett. Just to kind of answer some of the things and unpack some of your comments, if you refer to the board, the finance committee report that was sent to you last Thursday after our meeting, you'll notice that from page 4 all the way down to, I want to say in the 80s, it's a complete list of everything that was purchased from our ESSER funds, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so you have it. You've had it since last Thursday. Also, just to kind of clarify another point about the supplementing and supplanting, the one great thing that ESSER, not just one, but one great thing that ESSER 1, 2, and 3 helped us with is to supplant, which is not normal. That's why I was saying that. That's not a normal thing, but we were able to actually do that. Pay for operating, pay for salaries, do that. So you're right, we have money, and it's not the responsibility of the finance director to spend the money. It's his responsibility. Well, one main responsibility is to be a good steward and to make sure that everyone that works in the district in spending, that he's a good steward over that. And so when you talk about, buying teaching materials and things that get to the students, it's so many people between the finance director that will be responsible for that, getting the materials that they need. And you can refer, to Mr. Dr. Butts about, that. I'm not sure, but from a governance, oversight, and accountability standpoint, everything that we ask for as a finance committee, he explains the reports. And so one other thing that I would like to offer, that if you could coordinate with Ms. Buchanan, if she's going to be absent, and you could sit in on our meeting in her place, we won't have a quorum, and you're welcome to do that. And so we do now do lunchtime meetings to accommodate our busy schedules. So you're welcome to do that. We can invite you to the next meeting as long as Ms. Buchanan is not planning to attend, which sometimes she can't because she has other obligations. And so you could sit in on that meeting, and then you could specifically ask more questions. It is a public meeting, but it's a smaller setting, and so you don't have to feel like you're going public.
Yeah, well, I mean, seriously, as far as that is concerned, it wasn't so much that I did not understand about the supplanting and what the ESSER funds and what have you was for and how they're used. And not that I did not know that we have information. However, how was these decisions made? Who was a part of these decisions? Was the Board of Education a part of these decisions when they got ready to use the ESSER funds? I haven't heard anything on how we would. I've never been in a meeting where we had a discussion as a Board of Education at how we're going to use these ESSER funds, who made the decisions, where it would go. I haven't heard any of that. So it's not that I don't know. When you talk about the items that like I said, I asked for 2 months.
It's in there though.
Yeah, and we got that. But what I'm saying is, when we talk about the ESSER fund, we were not a part of any of that. And that is a lot of money. Nobody was, I don't know, maybe I was not privy to it, to the discussion to say, okay, well, we have 5 million, 10 million, because every time I asked, we never got it all. So as I sit here as a person, as a trustee on this Board of Education who does not happen to be on the finance committee, and don't know all the details, we still all have to know this stuff. And to just shoot us an email and say, well, we read it, and I know we all sometimes, when we get ready to come to this meeting, we have to do better. But still, this right here is a very, very serious piece. So maybe I need to restate what I was saying as far as we got the ESSER fund. When I see 100% of the ESSER fund, ESSER 1 was spent, I never knew what it was spent for. This is after the fact, and who made the determination. I discussed and shared with this board, because I was told by the president of the Board of Education to reach out to Flint, president of their Board of Education, who also received the ESSER funds. And I discussed with and did meet with her at MASB convention, and we talked, and we've talked a few times afterwards, and she was just sharing some of her ideas and how their board was so entrenched in the decisions that were made as it relates to using the ESSER fund, and how they took $25,000 a teacher.
Point of order.
Huh?
Point of order.
What?
We're trying to keep the meeting moving.
I understand, but I'm not finished with my comment. But anyhow, but those are one of the things where they took $25,000 and gave each teacher. So I'm saying, when I look at what I see, and I get these reports and they come in and we look at them, but we did not have any discussion. Maybe you all did, but I didn't. And I must have missed it. And I haven't missed a meeting yet.
Okay, so
This is still my committee
Go
report.
ahead, go ahead.
Thank you, sorry. So, just to respond briefly, I thank you for your input. We did have, several meetings, and every time we approve a budget, that is approving it. However, I would like to even extend the invitation, that possibly can we have a special committee meeting next week, finance committee meeting, where we can discuss our uses for the ESSER funds. I'm willing to work with Mr. Johnson, and we can have a special meeting if you would like to attend, and we can talk about that more in depthly, Mr. Triplett, if that's okay.
Yeah, I would even like to make it public if possible.
All of our meetings are public meetings.
No, I'm saying where.
All of
the
our
board
meetings
could
are
be there,
public meetings.
where the board could be there in its entirety, not a committee. So like, I know that all of our meetings are public, they have to,
Yeah.
because we're bound by the Open Meeting Act.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm familiar with all of that, but I'm talking about where the Board of Education is here to be able to discuss and have an understanding. If someone is sitting and don't know what it is, we need to bring that, and our community needs to be involved in such a major decision.
So to clarify, Treasurer Creighton, a special meeting that you were indicating, were you mentioning a committee meeting or a special board meeting focused on?
Special committee meeting where we
Okay.
could, he feels like he need more, that way he'll have a week or so to look over everything, and then we could dive in and really talk about how this layout is. Because one other thing that was on the committee was a grant accounting position, and I have to just say this, and I know that we need to move on, at least I do, because I don't have all night, but one other thing that I do want to bring to your attention is that Mr. Johnson is working without a grant accountant. So initially, that grant accountant was handling a lot of the grants and doing a lot of the grant work, because being a CFO is already a double full-time job, right? 2 full-time jobs. So keeping in mind, that he is working in the absence of a grant accountant. And so right now, yeah, so just let's give some grace and understand that, but he is more than willing, and he answers all of our questions, or at least attempts to. And so Mr. Bradley submitted his questions after I sent the report last week, and he got an answer to all of those questions, a nice layout, colorful graphs and everything. So if you do have some specific questions, you could submit those. Otherwise, we can't have a special committee meeting to talk about ESSER 1, 2, and 3.
Trustee Buchanan?
Yes, President Robinson, when I first got on the board and the question that was asked, they said, don't ask, the person that was responsible for the grant was not done their job. So in one meeting, I said, well, we have teachers that have worked in this district, and some of them have been cut 10 years out of their pay. So they told me the person that done them was something. I said, well, you need to get rid of the person that's writing the grants, because our teachers are hurting. We have some good teachers in this community that will go out their way. And something, I used to walk out of the meeting because they would never tell me nothing. So, well, if somebody's supposed to write a grant for paperweight and the black hat, they need to get on their job, because our kids are hurting from this. We need to get people in the right. I piggyback what Ms. Triplett said. Too much money went through this school district, and the teachers still haven't been paid nothing. Thank you, Ms. Robinson.
Thank you, Trustee Buchanan. So we're going to go ahead and proceed with our committee reports. Thank you, Treasurer Creighton, for providing yours, Secretary Triplett and Trustee Buchanan for your questions. And I also appreciate the attachment that was sent with the report, as well as the response provided by administration to Vice President Bradley's questions. So we are going to proceed. We can talk more offline about how we'll actually do the review of finances and the best way to ensure that everyone's questions are answered. I also would think it would be safe to assume that our CFO, Mr. Johnson, would be open to any one-on-one meetings that any trustees may have. If you would like that one-on-one time with yourself as well for specifics and kind of going through things to make sure that each of us know how to read the budget as detailed as the Finance Committee. So we'll continue to explore ways to ensure that the full board has a level of understanding and knowledge and comfort with our finances. So we're gonna move it along to human resources. Trustee Raquel Martin.
We also had to.
You talking in the microphone, please?
Original meeting in July.
Can you please pull your mic
So we
forward?
met August 3rd for our HR committee meeting. And I was the main representative on that meeting. We did not have Mr. Bowens, and I know Mrs. Creighton had said she was also in another meeting at that time. But in that meeting, we did review the employee separations and our new hires. And the district is striving hard, very hard to find and to fill the vacancies that we have currently in our district. And in case that doesn't happen, there is a contingency plan put in place by our superintendent that will help to ensure that we will have a successful start to this school year. All of our teachers and trainings are in position or will be in position to receive permits to work in classrooms by the start of the school year. Each building, we have 5 floating subs that are hired. Each building will have 1 floating sub with the exception of the high school, who will have 2 to fill in for unplanned absences of teachers so that learning will not be disrupted and people will not have to be double teaming classes. As we know as teachers, we've often had to do because there are no subs. So that's in place so that we can have classrooms covered. Our district has the highest, and this may be news to some, but we have the highest substitute pay in the county. And currently, I know we seem to have a lot of vacancies, but if you look at, I think it is, we were told South Bend has 95 vacancies and Grand Rapids has over 200 vacancies that they need to fill. So at this point in time, teachers are a high commodity that we need. And so I would even like to encourage those in our audience, if you know of teachers or people who have the credentials and want to work in a great district, please have them apply to Benton Harbor area schools. I've been talking and trying to recruit. Marvin is our recruiter specialist, and he has done a fantastic job, but we still need people. So please encourage those that you know that are capable and have the credentials to please apply to our school district for work.
Thank you, Trustee Raquel Martin. Are there any questions regarding the HR report?
Madam President,
You have the floor, Trustee Bowen.
please excuse my absence from the HR committee. I had prior engagements. I think one thing that we as a district have to look at is the why factor. Why are teachers leaving the district? Why are there so many openings? We keep on wanting to say, apply, 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 but we're not looking at why we got to this situation. And what are we doing to fix it so some of them would want to come back? And I think once we look at the why situation, and realistically, let's not sugarcoat it, we can get that why, and then I think we would fix our vacancy issues. I think we have to be realistic in our approach on that. And that's just one of my concerns that I don't think we have addressed since we've been on this board, is the why factor. We understand that there's openings throughout the nation on teaching, but when I look at Lakeshore Public Schools or St. Joe, they have 1 opening. Why is it that they're leaving Benton Harbor? What can we do to rectify that problem? Thank you.
Secretary,
I can address some of those.
you have, go ahead.
Okay, I can address some of those concerns. Some of our separation of employment personnel in this round took jobs closer to where they lived. I think a couple of them are in retirement, they're retiring. A couple of them have moved. So it wasn't like, they were treated badly or whatever. It's just that they found more convenient places and to work for themselves. If you have to drive 45 minutes to an hour every day and a job opens up where you live, naturally you're going to take that job where you live. And especially some are getting paid more money. The money factor has a lot to do with it. If I can get $20,000 more staying at home, I'm sorry, but I'm going to take that job. And so that's what we're running into.
Secretary Triplett.
Excuses are tools of incompetence
All right.
used to build monuments of nothingness. People who use excuses will never become successful people. Fairplain Middle School last year the staff was basically depleted. There was an effort by Dr. Butts, after completing his first year there, to go in, and that was at the forefront of his work. The majority of that staff is now filled. There were plenty of applications. From my understanding, there were plenty of applications per the HR department. We had a plethora of applications. People applying for positions here. Enough of that. We've had teachers that walked up out of here because we've had discussions of what is a resignation, what is this and that. We have people who walked up out of here because they were treated poorly by people in administration, and they were treated poorly. Now, what we're not gonna do is sit here and act like this is not happening. And each one of us individually, while we're trying to stay high and not be a part of the day-to-day operation, there were seasons when administrators, before you close out, before you leave, you have to grind and get those teachers up in there. I want to know what schools, because that principal at Fairplain Junior Middle School, which is now our interim superintendent, did the work, and that staff is almost full. I want to know what was the difference in the work that he was doing and where the big holes are. I don't know what school has the big gap. I'm almost positive the high school is one of the schools that has the big gap. So I want to know what was the difference in between these people, because from my understanding, when it was reported out to us towards the close of the year, that people, you guys, we are so excited, people are applying. And now, because we're missing deadlines, we're missing timelines, and people are not going to wait, because in April and May is when people start applying for these jobs. And so again, I understand as far as the money, being competitive with the money, but there have been many people that said they wanted to come and help us. And we as a board, you have to say it too. We start out, we hire these people, by mid-year, these people resign, they leave because of the way in which they were treated. Like Trustee Bowen said, if we're gonna have a conversation, let's have the whole conversation and be real and do what it needs, do what it do. Thank you.
You have the floor, Trustee Bowens.
Madam Chairman of the HR Committee, I just want to read you something. Dear members of the board, my short time in service of the youth of Benton Harbor has been life-changing. Our youth have taught me and shown me the beauty of the generosity of spirit and resilience in the face of adversity. I'm eternally grateful for the opportunity to serve my community of Benton Harbor in the capacity of a teacher. I cannot in good conscience work with an administration who is not transparent with the community whom they serve, but would rather sell the community on a hollow image. In an effort to assist my school with the transition, my resignation begins. Blink, I'm giving my 2-week notice. Something's going on that we're not looking at.
In here.
And I think that's what, in all due respect, it has nothing to do with, Dr. Butts, he just got on, but it's something has happened why we have some of these vacancies. And we can act like it's closer to their home and everything. Some of these teachers, in fact, Friday, one teacher, a lady that I know is qualified, told me she applied for several positions in the district. And I said, well, I never knew that. She says, and they told her every excuse. She says, but I learned I had to go to Battle Creek, drive almost 2 hours away just to get a job. And I'm certified. So something is going on, and how do we fix it? What's the why factor? Why can't a taxpayer that's qualified, certified, get a job in a district that they pay taxes to, but 2 hours away, they're able to? And I rest my case.
Ms. Robinson.
I think Ms. Buchanan has her hand up.
Go ahead. Yeah, just.
I'm sorry,
Thursday-
I'm the only person that can give trustee Buchanan the floor. But you have it, trustee Buchanan.
Okay. Thursday, I don't know the teacher's name. Because usually I'll be going around to all the schools, but if I do to me babysitting, and I have a bad leg, but she used to come to the meeting, and she said she loved the kids, but she gone. And I think she
On
was,
this list.
she said, I saw her at, and somewhere, and she said, you Miss Buchanan? I said, yeah. And she said, well, I'm gone because, I said, what happened? And I had the baby and then it was yelling and stuff. She said, well, I'll get your number. Now, I don't know, I can't remember what building she was in. But she came to the meeting, sit on this side. And she said, and it's somebody, like I said, one time I got 3 children. And my son, I said, he said, Mama, can I ask you something? I said, yeah. Why is it we the only boys that wash dishes? I said, I ain't got nothing to do with Stu doing the house, Billy or Jane. You come your week, you washing dishes. That's it. No question asked. So we need to find out, like Trent said, Mr. Triplett, if something's wrong with bringing people in here, we need to do something about it. I don't think my daughter graduated from Benham High School, go to college, and had to go to Texas to get a job. She should get a job here to her hometown where she can shine at. I don't know if anybody read the article about the Hines girl. She ran track at Ben Harbor. She back. She said, Miss Buchanan, we want to come back. She got a garden on Broadway. She said, so you get with me as we hold a press conference. So people, we got to stop this. We got to learn to treat each other with respect. And our teachers deserve the best. Because I see a teacher in here now, I'm not going to point to her, but Miss Nims and her, but 2 teachers were in their classroom, they would make fishing poles, take the kids down on the river and fish, and they were already at Cabin Britain. But I never did eat none of them because I thought they washed their hands. But they already invited me. And another teacher, she is in here. We got top-notch teachers. So there's something wrong with Tribute. Every week it's the same thing. He's right. I'm on his side. So let's get together and show us a little love. It don't have to be no whole lot, just a little. Thank you.
Treasurer Creighton.
Yes, thank you. So I do apologize for not attending the meeting. I did have another obligation. I don't know what's a great, way to do that with having 2 committee members absent, or what would be the recommendation, for that if 2 committee members cannot attend. But they did have the meeting. But I sit here and I listen and I really feel bad because 2 people, one that's on the list and then another that could be coming, they did reach out to me, and I just have so much going on that it slid through the cracks. But I did follow up later on, but it was too late. And I don't want blood on my hands, and so I'm not going to take responsibility for the resignations. However, I do want to bring it to the attention of my colleagues that and just echo that something is definitely going on. I would be naive to just think that it's all of what is being done. But I think I'm witty enough to also know that, you know, it's a lot of what is not being done as well. And so on top of we are in a pandemic or at the end of a pandemic, recession or whatever. But right now the job market is just so transient because people are using, you know, different monies that they're getting to do sign-on bonuses. And so employees are playing a game. I've been recruiting at work every day, so I get it. However, some of the things that were said to me that I'm just like, you know, I think what we need to honestly do too, though, is look at some of the things when people bring concerns to us, like, you know, we talked about in committee and also at the table, the inequity in positions. I know last month a position was brought before us and we voted on it, but then in another school, different employees are still outsourced. And then, you know, just the lack of equity. And I think if we just think about those kind of things, you know, when you refer to some of the schools with a lot of vacancies, but then if you look at the ones without vacancies and you look at that same data that we talked about here at the table from the guy that talked, we definitely have to make people feel good, feel appreciated, and to feel heard and be, you know, humble enough to just say, you're right. You know, we didn't notice that that was going on, but here's what we're going to do to fix it. And I think that's what people need. You know, I am a fully certified teacher and I've not worked in education in almost 7 years, and no one has attempted to recruit me either. And I've only been on the board for 1 year. So, you know, there's some real conversations that have to take place, you know, as well. And so, it's other colleagues in here that I know of that at the end of the day, no matter how people feel about them or us, we're fully certified. And so there are some things that we have to do. And I'm going to, you know, leave it at that.
I'll allow Secretary Triplett to have the floor.
And so a point of order won't be called, I'll be brief. I posted on my Facebook page, if you live in and are from Benton Harbor or 49022, and you have your associate, bachelor, master, education specialist, or PhD, please sign below, college, university, degree. I'm trying to see something. There are 636 on here with degrees from Benton Harbor. 636. It saddens me beyond measure. That's why I wore this today, to be rejuvenated, because I cannot move if it's 6-1. When Benton Harbor people come back here, we go through this list. And Benton Harbor people come, I don't want to hear nothing from nobody else. I'm talking about what I know. They like Ms. Creighton said, they call us, they reach out, we follow our protocol, we send them back. We getting ready to lose a science teacher that came here to every meeting. If they come and they voice their opinion, this is what they're saying, that they're being retaliated against. They are being cut off, and we're gonna have these conversations. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so in response to the concerns addressed about the HR committee report, specifically retention efforts, I would ask that at the upcoming HR committee report, we have retention as HR committee meeting, that we have retention as a specific topic to be discussed. And I know that we have our recruiter that's been doing an amazing job at getting staff in, but I want us to specifically focus on retention. And then Ms. Gale, I know that when an individual leaves the district, they have the opportunity to do an exit survey, and they also have the opportunity to select whether or not the board can see those exit surveys. And so in the next HR committee report, can you please do me the pleasure of getting the exit surveys where the board was given authorization to see their responses since this past school year to current? I think that we could go back further than that, but I think this current school year would probably be the most relevant for the current concerns that we're attempting to address. So and then that way you all can kind of dig into the responses received and go into action planning as a committee with our administration on how to increase our retention efforts. I'll allow Trustee Rockette Martin one additional comment. I hope that it does not spur additional follow-up comments because we are almost an hour into the meeting and still on committee reports. Trustee Rockette Martin.
And my report was addressing this set of separation of employment, not past ones. I understand what they're saying, and I know the district does have a policy in place for complaints or issues that that teachers and stuff need to handle. There is a level of a board, a chain of command, and there is a policy, like I said, in place to address concerns. So it's not like people don't have a chance to do that. They do. We are fair. It is an open policy, and if somebody wants to follow through and put it in writing, I always say put it in writing. Word of mouth, it's easy to go to individual people and tell things to, but put it in writing, send it through the chain of command so the board can be addressed, so the central office can address it.
Thank you, Trustee Rockette Martin. Next, we have our curriculum committee report. Secretary Triplett.
Yes, Madam President, I am proud to announce, and I feel very, very comfortable in saying that as the chairman of the curriculum committee, he just blanked out on me. I was ready. I'm not going to be long with this because Chief Waddell will be presenting basically the closeout and what we've done. We did have the meetings are very efficient. You all are welcome to log on and log in. There was a principal's retreat that was held to work with our principal for in the district. I think that happened last week. I'm quite sure she'll report out on that. I don't want to go into it, but some of the things they talked about, grounding in the mission and the vision statement so that they would have a clear understanding, expectations and protocols as it relates to what is expected of our principals, an approach to attendance and all of those different things, so that we'll be what I gather, and as I report out to the community, that Ms. Waddell in her leadership role is making sure that everybody is on the same page.
Excuse me, just
yeah.
one quick question. Do we have a report that I can refer to? Is it in here?
I can forward this
Okay,
to you.
I just thought you was reading from something. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
I am reading from something. So I'll have Ms. Waddell, if you could forward our rotating agenda, the topic to the rest of the Board of Education. But the curriculum, we also have there's a lot of good work that's going on as it relates to curriculum and alignment of curriculum. So that, and there is a pacing scale that is so that, say for instance, you were in the 1/3 grade class, everybody is working on the same thing, and your child moved from 1/3 grade class and they go to another 3rd grade class. They're not going to go into a classroom that's doing something completely different. And these objectives and these standards are in line with the state requirements, the course curriculum standard. We did also discuss that they look at it intentionally to make sure that in alignment with the M-STEP, that the things that are on the M-STEP are presented prior to them actually taking the M-STEP test. Because a lot of times we put the pacing guides together and we notice sometimes that if you might have your pacing guide in order, but sometimes we start to find out that some of the standards that they should have covered in that particular grade, they didn't come up until May, but the students have already taken the test. So they are being very intentional in identifying, first of all, saying, these are the standards that are actually covered in the 3rd grade. These things will be done and our students will have an opportunity to have at least been introduced to it and worked on it. A report on the summer school reflection. We did discuss about the survey that was given to the teachers and staff and what have you. We went over that survey, and the discussion was this: there were too few people who actually participated in that survey. And so we talked about it. Out of the number of employees that was employed in the summer school program, I said to Ms. Waddell that I felt that, well, that should have been a requirement, that everybody do the survey. Because if you have 40 employees and 7 people do the survey, just like when it was decided to close the high school during the pandemic, when we looked at it, we only had 36 parents, but we had 240 students. That's not good data. And whether we like it or not, we need everybody. If they worked in the summer school program before they exited that program, all of them should have been required to take that survey so we can have this data. Whether it's good information or what have you, we need to have it so that we can move forward. And Dr. Butts and Ms. Waddell said that they would work on sending that survey out and making sure that survey is completed. Had some great comments, had some comments of that they had concerns about. And so when you're doing an evaluation of something, it's not to be punitive. It's just to find out, you need to know how people really feel. And that's the whole purpose for surveys. And then you put those things into place, and you guys will see that later on as we go through our self-evaluation. The summer school program was basically successful. And it was a great meeting. And I do like the direction that the curriculum division is going. I do have some concerns that but we'll talk about it. And she has always had an open door policy. So I'm looking forward to, Rome wasn't built in a day. But there was one discussion that we did have, and I want to say this to the Board of Education. It was recommended, it was discussed where some of the teachers had said that, because our students are so behind, I keep hearing this COVID, but before it was COVID, before it was a pandemic, for the last 15 to 20 years, our students been behind, according to the state standards and state testing. And they were saying, what we should do is if they're in the second grade, then maybe we should give them first grade work. No, if you are a second grade teacher, you should teach the second grade curriculum. You should have enough strategies, and you should have enough a depth of knowledge to know how to close gaps. And that comes from the data. And so if you are second grade in Benton Harbor area schools, we will not say we are second grade, this is a second grade classroom, but I'm teaching you first grade. And that was the reason for the pacing scale and what have you, because when we found out historically that there were teachers that would just stay in their little area that they were comfortable in, that's how they taught. If it's second grade, then they teach the second grade curriculum, period. Do not lower our kids, because I think we're just making a big lump and putting all our kids, because there's some talented kids in those classrooms that are not being challenged and not being pushed as well, because people have made this assumption that they can't do it. They can do it. You got to have high expectation and expect them to reach those bars. And that, I closed my report. That's how we closed out. And she'll follow up with me and Dr. Butts as it relates to that.
Thank you for being brief, Secretary Triplett. Trustee Bowen.
At this particular time, I'm the chairman of the curriculum committee.
I know, but you began by saying you'd be brief. So I was saying thank you for being brief.
Trustee Bowen, can I please have my 5 minutes of fame to identify?
Go ahead. So Trustee Bowen has a question. Go ahead.
Trustee Bowen.
I checked my email. I loved your report, but I would like it visual because it helps me be able to look at your data.
You even looked at your own visual report.
Another thing I want to talk about is last board meeting, we talked about the 8th graders that are going to the high school. And a survey showed that they were behind. What are we doing to get that? Now, I just know you just said that, but some data, well, let me rephrase that because data can be conflicted. But what are we doing to make sure that those kids are going to have that extra assistance that they should have?
That's one discussion that we did have. And when you're talking about, like you said, it's just a blanket statement. Everybody is behind. But
But
first of all, we don't have any formative assessments in this district. We did not have any formative assessments. We just, this data that we are saying that our children are behind on is just from summative data. And this is from summative assessment, which means state examination, the MSTEP, the NWEA. But each district has a set of formative assessments that they take on a regular basis, and that's what they have in place right now, because the call was, we do not have any formative assessments that will take us along the way to say that this is what we're doing. Every 4 weeks, they will go through and do a data wraparound. They have already put in place formative assessments that are made, put together by teachers, put together by the curriculum, the chief of curriculum and instruction. And so now that is being worked on.
okay, and that's why I think we should have a report so we can see some of this data, so we
But
can know
look
what
right
we're
here.
looking at.
Look at your
Okay, if
report.
you can send that to the whole board, that
Yeah,
would be
because you
better.
haven't done the
Thank you.
report.
I'm not a chairman.
Thank you. So,
Man, one of y'all wrote a
thank
report.
you. So I appreciate Secretary Triplett's reports, and I think what Trustee Bowens is requesting is that the reports can be either emailed to the board ahead of time, which works great, because if we have questions, we can ask in advance, or if you're a little behind in sending it out, bring it printed to us so we can have it before us when you read along. And are there any other questions? I'm sorry, Secretary Triplett has the floor to ask if there's questions.
Well, as you know, people sit here and
My
being
hand
brand,
been up.
no, people sit here being brand new. When I spoke to the board president, the chief of curriculum and instruction presents a very thorough report of what I just gave to you every month. So if you would read your agenda and keep up with what's being presented with you, you already should have had this. Thank you so very much.
Someone is waiting for you to give them the floor, Secretary Triplett.
Who's that? Yes.
The person that you picked their report apart, it's me down here. But to be honest, I agree too, because I think it was your idea that we needed a visual report. And so if you can do that, that would be helpful, to be honest, even if you didn't have time, a board committee report, not a department chair committee report. But what I was going to say that you would probably appreciate if you look into the ESSER funds, that it is money allotted in ESSER 3, when we were explaining supplanting, it is money in there for multi-tier, like 2 and 3 levels of support academically. And so
Point of order, that committee has
it's
already
in
been.
the finance committee report. So if you read it, money is allocated. Now, whose responsibility it is to spend it, that's a different question, but the money is in there to kind of help with those tier 2 and tier 3 academic needs.
Thank you so much,
No
Ms.
problem.
Creighton, for pointing that out. And
Mhm.
again, like I said, the reports will be submitted moving forward. Chief Waddell,
Excuses are, no, I'm kidding. I'm sorry.
Chief Waddell, moving forward, when we get through with our meeting, will you send this directly to them, what we have here, because it's very thorough and it's very effective. And even a basic non-reader could get some understanding from it. Thank you so very, do we have any other questions?
Thank you, Secretary Triplett, for your report and all questions. This evening, next we have Vice President Bradley with the facilities report.
And I know how to be brief, and we won't have a long drawn out
Shade.
discussion at the end. All right, our facilities committee meeting, I was looking forward to this meeting. We had a lot to discuss, and it was very effective and efficient meeting. We discussed phase 2 of the field house renovations and getting RFPs to get work done before the sports season start. And I know Dr. Butts and Chief Miller are going to have updates as well, so I won't get too much into detail. I know I emailed this out to everyone as well, so I know you all had a chance to review it too.
That's what I'm looking at mine now. I don't want people to think I'm texting.
Had a discussion around the land use and possibly looking into different things with that and the vacant buildings as well. And the district controlling parameters of those things and what type of projects we would like to see around that topic. We had a discussion on school safety and looked at the smart boot system and possibly other companies who specialize in safety alert systems. Even if we implement one aspect of them or install in phases, also discuss safety grants that are offered by the state and, looking at possibly, applying for some of those grants. Dr. Butts updated us on the roof replacement process and is starting to do the lead work on finding the architectural and engineering firms and contractors. Update. You want me to wait? I guess I'll let Dr. Butts say that, but I know it's going to be soon when we get that started. Got an update on the building ACs. All our buildings should have ACs by the beginning of the school year, so our students can have a comfortable learning environment in the heat. I did pass by Fairplain East. I saw their ACs in the windows and a few other buildings. Also, the admin met with the electrician to ensure that the ACs have the proper connections as well so that they can be safely connected and hooked up. We discussed the bus garage sign repair for the umpteenth millionth time. And thankfully, this should be fixed. And this was a few weeks from July 19th, but it should be fixed soon because they found out that they had to do a little bit more extensive work to get that done. But I'm looking forward to that being fixed. Discuss the preparations of the school buildings and making sure that everything is cleaned up and floors waxed before the first day of school. Also discuss limitations on some of the overtime if the work is not being done by the custodial staff. And I do have to give props because I was here in the building today in the high school building. I have seen all hands on deck cleaning and painting and scrubbing carpets and painting classrooms. And if you see in the main hallway, some of the paint is being done. So I'm glad to see that work is being done. Discuss the renovation repairs to the gymnasium vestibule and the timeline and when they would take place. Along with that, we're also looking to sprucing up our other campuses as well as far as that involves around safety. And the board possibly will be doing building walkthroughs this month shortly before school starts to make sure that everything is up to par and ready for our students. Any questions? All right, no questions. I'm gonna hand it over.
Were we able to get, if we got for our football stadium and what have you, are we ready?
Yes,
With our letters or something up there, the home of the Tigers or anything, what's the status
yes.
on that?
Dr. Buss did update that on me. We had a one-on-one today, and that'll be ready before the beginning of the school, before the beginning of the football season. So we are getting everything done with Pearson. Our contractor is going to be Pearson. You want to elaborate, Dr. Butts?
Yes, sir. We've already signed the PO for them to get started. So they've committed to having all those done, and Mr. Miller will give a comprehensive update of that portion.
Okay, thank you.
I do have a quick question,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley. I know that I sent in an email and you guys responded about our contractors with our actual cleanup of like the grounds and the maintenance. And so, and I fully understand that, you guys said that in a day-to-day maintenance or week-to-week or whatever, that's not something that's in the contract, but I do remember a tree removal and a leaf removal. Or do we need to allocate money to be able to do that? Because one thing that I know is that if we don't properly maintain, then it'll cause problems. And so we don't want trees and things growing up where it start busting windows and damaging roofs. I'm actually going through something like that at home in my personal life. And so I just wondered, is that something that the facilities committee could potentially talk about, an RFP or some kind of contract to where we can at least once a summer, maybe not every week, but at least once a summer or monthly or how much ever is recommended, but that these trees are cut and maintained so that we don't have bigger problems down the line.
Go ahead, Dr. Butts, and elaborate on that.
And thank you, Treasurer Creighton. What we are working on, those contracts are already in place, but what we can do, we're gonna look at and start renegotiating those contracts so that we can ensure that the safety of our facilities. I did contact our attorneys in reference to that when you first made your question. So we are looking into renegotiating those contracts.
And just to be clear, I guess I pretty much know that it's going to have to be a new contract and a new RFP because it's a different service. And every time we add a service, we have to RFP it. And so that's just, a side note. So we might need to do another contract for just tree cutting and maintaining. It's different than lawn maintenance.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Oh, yes. Trust.
Where are we with the demolition of those buildings like Martindale?
We
Is
have,
that being discussed at all in facilities?
yeah,
I can't hear.
go
her.
ahead and go say that question one more time. I heard you, but for the microphone, they were saying, I'll say your
I
question one
said,
more
where
time.
are we with the demolition of those buildings that are really eyesores in our district? Martindale being one of them. I know I read a email from a parent or somebody that a neighbor who lives in that area, and they were talking about how the gangs are breaking in the buildings and how everything is just kind of bringing their neighborhood down. I personally toured those buildings, and it is an eyesore. So I was wondering, is the facility committee
Yes.
talking about that?
Yes, we have been talking about that, and we did bring that up in our last meeting. I even indicated that in the report. Dr. Bush, you want to elaborate on that area as well? Because I
Yes,
know-
sir.
Yeah, we did.
Actually, we did speak about that in our committee meeting. After I met with the Boys and Girls Club Director, Ms. Mackenzie Castle, she has expressed interest in leasing that property. And so we are in discussions about them possibly leasing that property and they doing the renovations. So we wanted to entertain that prior to looking into the demolition portion of it. So it's in the preliminary stages.
Yeah, so it's just, so it's just, something, so it's the preliminary right now, but we have discussed it, but it would be a better option than, just looking at different things. Any more questions or comments?
Comments. One man's junk is another man's treasure. Always remember that. And I think that's what we've been fighting for a whole year, is that if we maintain, then we can sustain.
Yeah. Trustee Boyens, you had something?
I'll send an email. And nothing against, I'm just gonna say it so you guys can hear it. Nothing against the Boys and Girls Club. I'll send an
Okay,
email.
that's fine.
Just as a committee, this is some things that was just brought up, not saying that any action or anything, just to discuss, because we're coming for the whole board. I was just saying, as Treasurer Creighton was saying, the different contract with trees and what have you, because this tree that's coming up out of this bush is almost to the second floor now. I've been watching it for a month. And so when we got bushes and what have you, like these bushes out here, these trees and stuff being trimmed, that tree started out at the window. Now it's almost in the computer room on the second floor. Those are things that just, when you're talking about maintaining the grounds, and people have contracts that we have paid money, and there is no way in the world that we should have big bushes in front of our high school that should be trimmed neatly with a tree growing up out of it. We also asked for, we want to walk through these athletic facilities. And that was brought up in the meeting. I almost can't look at your confused face because it really just, it ticks me off. To another level, you can be confused. But anyhow, for us to walk through these facilities, we talked about in these facilities where our locker room, kids come to our school and don't want to go into our locker room because they nasty and they don't want to take no showers or go in there and dress because they're not painted and they look horrible. And that's embarrassing. That is a horrible reflection on our community. It is not fair for our kids, people to come to our school and feel that way. And I think we need to do this as quickly as possible because the question was asked, Brother Chairman Bradley, what role does the athletic director play in any of these things as it relates to our athletic, our football facilities, our basketball facilities, our gyms at Fair Plain, junior high, all of these different things where we have our middle schools and all that? What role, what is their responsibility? If somebody could give me that information, I would really, really like to know that, because that is a part of their role and their responsibility to make sure, it's not Mr. Miller's responsibility to make sure that those things are monitored and taken care and up to par, and that Mr. Miller is given the information. Mr. Miller is on the ground. And I think that's kind of flipped backwards. So can I get some information on that too? Thank you.
Okay. If no more questions, I'm going to move the continuation of the Madam President.
If I'm not mistaken, I think we did actually discuss that in our facilities meeting as it
did.
relates to the roles of the AD and comparatively to Mr. Miller's. So I am going to state at this particular time as the chair, and I mean this from the best place in my heart. I just want you all to just kind of look at the fact that it's 6:57 and we've only gotten through committee reports. And I appreciate all of the comments that are made, but I just want to remind our board that often I get the feedback that our meetings are too long. And sometimes it's because there's a stacked agenda. And so today our agenda is not stacked at all. Me and Dr. Buss have worked very hard at trying to make sure that the topics are minimized. And so we've taken an hour and a half on our committee reports. I value all the comments that have been made, but I just want us to be conscious of anything that we may be doing and prolonging us to get through our meetings efficiently and effectively. And so we could be sure to write our comments and our questions down so they can be concise and clear. That way we'll be able to kind of move through things a little bit quicker. So next we are going to move on, or you all know that Trustee Bowens will be here next month asking that we keep comments to a 2-minute minimum for the full agenda.
I was late today, that's why. But Madam President.
We did.
Can we make, oh, you did? You should have said, can we,
I'm
table some of
sorry,
this? Oh.
point of clarification. So we were supposed to have 2 minutes limit so far? So you haven't used the timer, Liz?
I have been using the timer, but no one's looking at it.
Oh, can you make a
Poor
sound?
lady scared to say something.
Okay, so moving forward, I was unaware because I was not here at the start of the meeting that we had implemented the 2-minute timer. So we will be using the 2 minutes moving forward. Ms. Liz, if I overlook the fact that 2 minutes have passed, I would ask that you just let me know so that I can ask that trustee to wrap up their comments and we can proceed. I'll pass it on to Trustee Bowens and then we'll
Can we
continue.
table some of the stuff on the agenda? I know it's too late, but can we make a adjustment to the agenda?
So you are making a suggestion that we amend the agenda. Trustee Bowens, what is it that you would like to?
The policy reading?
It's just, that's the second, Madam President, so that we can breeze through that real quick.
Was that a motion or?
Well, I guess there's not a support there, so I will,
No, I'm
Okay.
asking if that was a motion. Do I need to support it before we get into discussion?
yes, please support it.
Okay, I would
please.
like to support the motion.
So if I'm understanding correctly, I do not want to misquote you. You are making a motion that we vote to amend the agenda for removal of the policy staff report S1, correct?
Yes,
And Treasurer Creighton has supported the voting to amend the agenda in that way, correct, Treasurer Creighton?
Yep, and just a quick comment, I did ask about that during the approval of the agenda, because I thought we had a conversation about that and making it a entire meeting. But I don't want to prolong it, but that was something that we talked about at the beginning of the meeting in your absence.
All right, so currently on the floor is a motion to amend the agenda to remove staff report S1. It was made by Trustee Bowens and supported by Treasurer Creighton. Any additional questions, comments, or concerns?
Just that we have a closed session at the end, so we have to be mindful of time.
Vice President Bradley.
I was just gonna say, this is, I think, the second time we've moved those policies. I don't know what our deadline is on that. Probably check in with Dr. Buss to see, because I just know it's the second, so we could breeze through them real quick. And I know that's just one staff report. It's not an individual thing. I think everybody should have had time to read through them.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns?
I'm kind of in tune with Vice President Bradley. These are policies that we were trying to update, have been trying to update since February of the year. So, we can have another meeting, but we really, really need to have the meeting. We really need to go over it and get these policies updated so that we can be abreast
Okay, so what I'll do is currently it's August 9th. We will tentatively schedule a meeting, a special meeting focused solely on policies. Liz, if you could get the policies that we currently,
This is, I believe this is all of them. This is it. We put this off 3 times, I think.
this is the last set of
This is the
policies to be
last set of
updated.
policies. I'm almost positive. I'm almost positive.
She's almost positive she's not 100%.
Point of order.
Thank
When
you,
it's a-
Treasurer Craig.
Yes, when it's a table item motion on the floor, is there room for discussion after support?
So he was just he was amending the agenda to remove that piece. He didn't actually ask to table it. So we can go ahead and call the vote.
Okay, I
Secretary
just
Tripp-
wondered, because it just popped in my head.
Yeah,
I'm
if we
sorry.
take, so normally what happens at tabling is that when we're actually at the particular topic and it appears that we
Gotcha.
can't get to a point of consensus or discussion, we can ask to table it and then we don't have discussion on that. And what he did essentially was ask to amend the agenda to remove that before we even got to it. So we can just, because right now I think what Trustee Bowens is attempting to do is to get us through the agenda quicker, and we're spending more time talking about the agenda at this time. So Secretary Triplett, if you could please call the vote for amending the agenda to remove staff report S1.
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
No.
Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowen,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
Yes.
Trustee Racket Martin,
No.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Motion carried.
All right, so what we just did was remove the policy readings. Liz, what I need you to do is double check and see if there are any other policies that are coming up for review that we can go over in the meeting that we scheduled specifically for these policies. We're gonna move right along at this particular time where we were after the facilities report to the board self-assessment overview. And so that report is actually Board Report B1. And the Board of Education, as you all are aware, participated in a special meeting on the 30th where we went over the voluntary staff report. I'm sorry, not staff report, but self-assessment that we did as a Board of Education. And so you all have been emailed that information. Thank you. I was looking for it and it's sitting right here. You all have been emailed that particular information. And so the outcome of that actual meeting was goals that we identified that we wanted to work on as a board. And that's just to catch our trustees up with where we were who weren't there. And so we have our set staff report on that particular topic. And it is board report number B1. Subject, adoption of the MASB recommended Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education Board goals for the 2022-2023 school year. Reason for board consideration: the mission of the Benton Harbor Area Schools is to educate, guide, and inspire students by developing their skills and knowledge to be globally competitive. The Board of Education understands that there are specific traits of school boards that lead to higher student achievement and excellence in leadership. The Board of Education elected to participate in an optional MASB self-assessment and reviewed the results, developing 3 governance team goals at a special meeting on July 30th, 2022. It is the belief of the board that in order to provide the best leadership, the board should adopt the recommendations of the Michigan Association of School Boards. These recommendations are reflective of the goals the board identified at a special meeting on July 30th, 2022. Facts and analysis: the recent board self-assessment produced the following goals that will be adopted by the board for the 2022-2023 school year. They are: strengthen board leadership and governance team unity, prioritize academic performance accountability, and emphasize data-driven decision-making. It is believed that these 3 governance team goals, when adopted, implemented, and monitored, will help boost student academic achievement. Policy reference none, strategic plan reference. The board is focused on a variety of improvements in the strategic plan. The board seeks to strengthen its district leadership in order to support the improvement of the district as a whole. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education adopt the MASB recommended board goals listed above for the school year 2022-2023. and it is approved for presentation to the Board of Education by myself. And just want to reiterate, these were goals that we identified for ourselves. And so it was the outcome of that actual meeting that we had at our Unity retreat. And so at this particular time, I'll ask, is there a motion to approve Board Report B1?
So moved.
Support.
The motion was made by Secretary Triplett, and I heard Vice President Bradley with his support prior to Treasurer Creighton, so we'll notate him. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
It was absolutely amazing. It was the board self-assessment. It gave us an opportunity to see some of our strengths and some of our weaknesses. And I think that that is just like with teacher evaluations and evaluation of the superintendent. Those pieces are critical. This is very necessary. It's very necessary in order for us to become a stronger board. And I just, it was good to have a visual to see what we really thought about one another. And I know our president probably will go through it and do the presentation, but I think it was absolutely amazing. It gave me some insight, some thoughts about, what I really felt. I got an opportunity to see, well, I think that this right here was good for us. We went through and we strategically looked at the data, and this is good. You don't have to have 100%. It's not about 100%. Evaluations and assessments is about growth. So thank you for leading us in this manner, Madam President. And because at the beginning, I didn't want to take the board self-assessment when I first got on the board, because I hadn't been on here long enough to be able to do that. And we don't want people to think that because there are some areas of disagreement or areas of what have you that appear to be low, it doesn't mean that it's low. It means those are areas that we really need to work on. And we did, in the end, take the 3 areas where there was a lot of differences of opinions. And those are the areas that are going to be our goal as we move forward as a Board of Education. So thank you for the opportunity.
Vice President Bradley.
Just wanted to say I hate I missed it, but glad that it was very effective session, and I really enjoy having Deb Mason come down and give us assistance from EMASB. She's very thorough. So with that being said, I'm looking at the report and everything, and glad to see what we got.
All right, any additional questions or concerns?
Madam President,
Trustee Bowens?
I will be abstaining from this because I was not present. I had a prior engagement and I need to continue reviewing some information, so I will be abstaining from this.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns?
I'm looking forward to actually putting some work in to actually complete our goals.
I am too. I'm actually excited. And one thing that is important to note is that, the Board of Education, we helped with developing a strategic plan to aid in our vision to be the best in academics, athletics, and the arts. And so often when you come from a leadership seat, you are looking at the team that you're leading and giving information as to what ways that team can improve. And so we are looking at ourselves as a part of that team and making sure that we can be our absolute best in how we provide governance as well as our interactions with each other. And so I really look forward to us doing the work additionally beyond this table, but ensuring that we're giving our best efforts. And so I'm excited. The areas that we looked at specifically, there were multiple questions that we took, but it assessed leadership, academic performance, accountability, board responsibilities, board effectiveness, data-driven decision-making, board superintendent relations, and community engagement and advocacy. There were a series of questions that we answered when we took the assessment to kind of gauge how well we think we collaboratively work on those particular things. And so as a result of the overall assessment of the board members' responses, these were the areas that we chose to strengthen. So I'm extremely excited about it and looking forward to receiving feedback after everyone has had an opportunity to look through the report thoroughly on ways and tools that we can use to effectively work on our goals. So if there are no additional questions or comments, I'll ask the Secretary Triplett call the vote.
President Robinson, when we look too, at, because it is a public document too, so when we look at it, when we look at it, say for instance, one of the areas was leadership, where we look at academic performance and accountability. It's not based on data of the academic and performance of our students or what you might see. This is what areas, the questions are framed to ask us where we were as a board in our role and knowledge, you know, the depth of knowledge we may have as it relates to academic performance and accountability. Are we holding people accountable? Are we doing the things that we're supposed to do as a Board of Education? So this has nothing to do with any of the other data. It has everything to do with us and our roles and our responsibilities, so that you guys, when you do get an opportunity to see that, you'll be able to frame the, you know, you will have to know how the questions were asked of us and how we responded. And so, like you said, with the three, when you see like a 2.88, we go through and we look with 5 being the highest, the areas where we're just like, one of the areas that we do that we feel we do as a Board of Education that relates to community engagement and advocacy. So now we know that our goal is eventually to get to the 5, you know, so I just wanted to let them know that this has nothing to do with our student data. This is all board work, period.
And it's another thing to consider is that everyone has their own opinion of how we should be doing things and where they think that we are on that journey. And so one thing that we saw was that there may be one person that said it was a 5, 2 people may have said it was a 3 or a 4. So there was variation in certain areas of the individual responses that board members gave, even though it was anonymous and we don't know who said what. It kind of also shows a reflection, one of the differences in how we view things and where each of us may think a 5 lies and what we're actually doing. So if there's no additional questions or concerns, I'll ask the Secretary Triplett call the vote for Board Report B1.
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes, Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin,
Yes.
Trustee Bowen,
Abstain.
Trustee Buchanan,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right, awesome. So I'll be following up. We'll try to ensure, I know we often have our board retreats quarterly, but we may have some meetings specifically that are focused on these goals. And so once everyone has had an opportunity to go through the report thoroughly, I know that we all received the feedback, but we just received the actual full report today. So I'll give everyone an opportunity to go through that. And if you have any suggestions or feedback that you would like or ideas that you have, feel free to reach out to me so that we can ensure that we have meetings that are focused on these specific goals. And we're taking an opportunity to work towards them without focusing on anything else. And we can make it another retreat essentially. All right, next on the agenda, I believe it is Dr. Butt's opportunity to have the floor, and he's going to present strategic plan updates.
Okay, thank you, President Robinson. Our strategic plan went into place, took effect on July 1st. We're in the beginning stages. So what you see in your packet is a remake of the 2-pager that was previously given out to highlight the goal areas that we've already worked on. It does not replace the original two-pager, but this one is to highlight the strategic goal areas and the goal statements that we've already worked on. We do not have milestones set in place yet, but we'll be working those in the cabinet, in our cabinet meetings. We plan to present to the board in September to launch this strategic plan, and also with that launch, a timeline of implementation of the strategic plan with benchmarks and a comprehensive explanation of where we are and how we're moving forward. We're not going to change how the 2-pager look, but I want to reiterate that what has been done within the strategic plan thus far with what is presented to you in your packet.
So essentially, this is the same goals, just a freshened look.
Yeah, it's a freshened look, yes, ma'am, and it's without all of the objectives, but it has the goal statements that we've already worked on thus far, that we've put in place in the infancy stages. So when we convened in September, it will be the same 2 pages that you have, but with our stated benchmarks, timelines, and implementation timelines that we are working on.
And then another thing, because I did have a chance to have a conversation with Dr. Buss, we launched our strategic plan in January, or approved it in either January or February, I believe. And then we went out and shared it with our stakeholders so they were aware that the strategic plan had been developed. And there was a lot of groundwork that went into the goals of the strategic plan. But as he stated, we're officially launching it with this particular period. And so one of the things that we've done with this meeting, you all will notice, and it came out of our meeting on the 30th, is that each board report that comes before us not only has the policy reference, but it also has the strategic plan reference as well, so that we can ensure that we fully understand and the community fully understands the things that we are voting to approve, how they are tied directly to the strategic plan, and it will help for all of the small pieces of the work to clearly show where they fit in the larger puzzle of the strategic plan. Additionally, they'll be coming back to us quarterly. Dr. Buss will be giving us an update on where they are in those benchmarks that he set, so that if there are things that we've done all of them or something that we're slightly delayed on, we'll have an idea of where we are in their respective timeline on accomplishing the goals that's set for in the strategic plan. So I'm really excited about those updates to come. And so I think it'll be awesome because it'll keep us on track with reaching those goals. Vice President Bradley.
I just wanted to say real quick, I'm glad to see this, and hopefully we can get these laminated and put into our board packets as well. I know one thing that we always say in at MASB is to keep us on track is, how does this go back to when we're discussing something here at the table? How does this refer back to our mission and our vision and our beliefs? So I think this would be something good and not be a good guide map. And hopefully we can start having this posted throughout the district and everywhere, so we can just see that and this is what we do and like that. So
Thank you, Treasurer Creighton.
Thank you. Yep. I just want to echo that. I really like this concise handout. It doesn't look so academic, it looks user friendly and it makes you want to read it like a flyer. So I wanted to say that. And then just another small comment. I think I don't know how to be politically correct with this handout, but I think we have to update our superintendent's name. I don't know if we need to change the date to the school year date or what, but I think it's inappropriate to keep distributing a document with a former employee's name on it.
So that copy is in our board packet, but this is meant to replace that one. Is that correct?
This-
Just wanted to be clear.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So he provided, I think the reason that we receive both is so that we can compare them collaboratively if we wanted to ensure that that what is on this document is
Gotcha.
everything that we've already voted on.
I love this document.
Secretary Triplett.
I agree with Treasurer Creighton too. Even on the old document, we need to update that.
Yes, sir.
The other document with anything, all of our things at this particular time, who's leaving the district, that information need to be on that paper.
And we can certainly, I'm sorry, man. Yeah.
No, you have the floor.
Okay. We can certainly update this,
Right.
update this with everything that we have on the old 2 pages. This does look fresher and makes it more of a flyer that we can put in the schools so everyone will be aware of. So thank you.
So the old 2-pager will no longer be dispersed,
Since
correct?
you all like this, the old one will no longer look like that. We will refresh it. And Treasurer Creighton, what we will do is, until there's a permanent person in the seat, we'll leave the name off. That way it won't create any confusion.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
You have the floor.
Who will this be circulated to? Will the teachers get it, the community? Can we stick it on the board, the information board at Myers? Where can we share this?
We can share it out to the community. We can put it on we can update our website. We can print copies and flyers out to share out to the community if you like.
Okay.
We can send them home with our parents, with our back to school. So at the end, when I do my comments, I can share how we're gonna send out some stuff, and Chief Waddell would also be giving us an update on how we're sending out stuff, so we can send these out as well, so that the parents and other stakeholders are aware.
Yeah. I think this would be helpful just in recruiting kids back to our district. You know, people read boards all the time. When I go to Myers, Walmart, whatever, I'm always glancing and reading. And so wherever we can have it, that's a good thing.
Thank you. And I thank Mr. Corson for updating it for us.
Secretary Triplett.
I think that, again, as I stated, at this particular time, this is going out right now. We do have an interim superintendent in that name, so our parents, when they see this, they'll know who it is that's leading at this particular time. So the name is on there. And then when we do identify a permanent superintendent, that's just a quick switch as well. You know, but at this time, because we have to get the word out, that was the purpose for us, moving in that direction so they can see and know that Benton Harbor does have a superintendent in place, although it might be only on interim basis, but we do have a superintendent at the helm of this district.
Duly noted.
Thank you, Secretary Triplett. Do you have any other information to provide with your strategic plan update?
Not at this time.
Okay, one other thing that we did discuss in the one-on-one is ensuring that each of the schools have a board that are designated to the strategic plan so that the students, the faculty, the parents can readily see what it is that we're attempting to accomplish. And so that's also a goal that we're making to ensure every school building has one of our boards that has this on it. So we're really excited in ensuring that everyone is fully aware of our mission, vision, goals, and beliefs. All right, next we have, thank you, Dr. Buss, for your report today. And I know you have additional things that you want to give us at the end of the meeting, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so if there's no further questions, we'll pass it over to Teaching and Learning, Chief Fatis Waddell.
Thank you. Good evening, President Robinson, Vice President Bradley, Dr. Butts, and trustees. First off, this evening, the first thing I would like to share for our back to school overview, we are very, very excited. We're working very, very hard to ensure that we start the school year off as smoothly as we can. One of our most exciting things that have taken place over the summer, during summer school, we had an opportunity to have several of our staff members work in our libraries to update them. And we are excited about this because it was a requirement not only of ourselves, but of MDE to have updated literacy access to our students. Our K to 8th grade libraries have been reorganized and are updated and ready for use. We are looking to make sure that we have staff to secure our libraries so that students are able to check out library books. So all of our 6th to 8th grade libraries have been organized. Our 9th to 12th grade library is almost finished. We are currently in the process of ordering new books. If you looked over there before you came in, it does look a little bit more empty now, and it is because we did do a big clean out to make sure that we have updated literacy materials in the high school for our students. So we are currently in the process of ordering new books for our high school library, and then that will be ready for use. In addition to libraries, our K to 8th grade classroom libraries, where each classroom will be equipped with new classroom books, will be up and running as well for the school year. So that is an update on our libraries, and it's a huge accomplishment because we have been deficient in having a librarian, and so to have staff committed to updating those libraries this summer, it proved to fruition. So that is great news for us. As Secretary Triplett already spoke to, last week we did hold our 3-day principals retreat. Huge shout out to Boys and Girls Club and Whirlpool Corporation for allowing us to use their facilities for our retreat. But our principals, they were very excited and were very receptive to the Department of Teaching and Learning's mission. First and foremost, every minute of instruction counts. And we really spent a lot of time talking about being a data-driven district and the importance of honoring their most important responsibility, which is being an instructional leader. So we had lots of dialogue and activities around being data-driven, instructional leadership, and the importance of monitoring. Monitoring is one of the key steps in the 8-step process that we'll be rolling out this school year. In order for 8 steps to work, our principals have to monitor the things that are taking place in our teaching and learning spaces. So we talked about monitoring. And then one of the other key pieces that we discussed were the influencers of student achievement. And it's kind of similar to the goals of the board that you all just approved, but The top three areas that we're going to focus on that have a high impact on student achievement are teachers' beliefs and high expectations of their students, self-reported grades, which is students setting their own goals for themselves and achieving their goals, and of course, response to intervention, making sure that we're addressing the students' needs as we look at common formative assessment data. So we talked about the influences of achievement as well. And then in addition, right now, principals are diligently working in their buildings, preparing for the start of the year, creating student handbooks. Supply lists will be up on the website here shortly. So just really making sure that we start off the year strong because we have goals in mind to be a data-driven district, and there's just expectations that will be of them. Next week is the kickoff for our first optional training, the equitable educational environments that I spoke to a few months ago. But the purpose of our trainings next week will be to ensure that our teachers and staff members of Benton Harbor are equipped with how to create positive, caring, and belonging environments so that students have that relaxed alertness, that willingness to get ready to learn because they feel safe in the environment that they're in. So next week we'll have a 5-day training for staff members that want to participate in those learning opportunities. Our official first day back is the 23rd. And of course, on that day, we'll be welcoming back our entire district staff. And then after we do our welcome back gathering, we will move right into our 8-step improvement process training for the next couple of days. And again, that's where we will train all staff members of our approach this school year, which will be the 8-step process, which will be right in line with us being data-driven. And then, of course, as Secretary Triplett spoke to already, the purpose of 8-step, and this kind of speaks to Bowen's concerns as well, is making sure that we're using common formative assessments to monitor what students are learning so that we can respond to their needs right away instead of waiting a year or waiting 2 years or whatever it may be. Doing it more frequently, looking at data on a 4-week cycle, and then organizing our Tiger Time for interventions and enrichments will hopefully help address those concerns that we have about just pushing students along and not mastering skills. And then our back to school events that will be taking place currently on the district calendar, all school levels or all schools will hold their back to school nights on Wednesday, September 14th. Currently, there is a committee, though, that is trying to bring back the district-wide back to school event that happened in years past. We will not have one at the start of the year. The hope is that we will have a fall school event, and that's what we're currently planning for right now. It'll be something that'll be fun for families to come back to school and, and engage in fun activities with their classmates and other families in the community. And thankfully, we do have several donors that have reached out to us that are interested in donating items for our students and in our families. And then final back to school announcement I just wanted to make because it's important. I know it's important to you and it's important to me. The title consolidation application for funding, the final due date is this Friday. Christy is working diligently to get the application in on time to ensure that we use every single penny that we've been allocated to use in our district. So that is all that I have for back to school updates. I don't know if you want me to stop for questions or continue to.
I believe that we don't have a copy of the updates that you were providing.
Just read from my notes. I can.
Okay, so it would be extremely helpful, and this is kind of going back to Trustee Bowens and Treasurer Creighton's point, because that's quite a bit. We appreciate the update, but that's a lot to consume, and so it's not linked to the agenda, or is there like a written copy of it? So it would be helpful for us if the notes that you have or the updates that you have, even if it's just like a page, like Mr.
I have a question.
Mr. Miller, I'm not finished, I'm sorry. Mr. Miller does, when he gives us his report, he gives the same general updates, but what it is that he's reading, we can see, and it'll help us to kind of go along and understand. And then I think Trustee Raquel Martin was taking notes of the updates you were giving, and she wouldn't have to do that if we had a copy of it. That would be extremely helpful. Trustee Raquel Martin.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, the back to school events, is at the same time at every school?
That will be up to the building level administration. I don't have exact times yet. I have put in a request for that information, but they're still preparing, and that's a few weeks out, so I don't know the exact times yet.
Okay.
I would assume they'll be close in time.
Okay, that's not taking the place of their open houses though, are they?
No, back to school
Okay.
event. No, it's something totally, yeah, this is later on. Well, it's not that far off, but it's just a few weeks out. But yes, there should be open houses as well.
Okay, okay.
Okay, any additional questions, comments, or concerns for the back to school updates?
Just a quick comment.
ahead.
One thing that my son's school doing, this is just a cool idea and it's real easy. This is just the idea, but they just do like a back to school ice cream social where they just literally buy like ice cream bars, popsicles, and sandwiches. But they get to come and meet the teachers, and then they kind of just have tables with school supplies. And they do that before school start. It's just like the Thursday before school, and it doesn't change. But it's very helpful because, you know, kids want to start school. I know in our community, we have a lot of giveaways, but at the end, you know, kids are still left behind because their parents don't go to the, you know, back to school night or to one of the giveaways, or they don't know about it. So that might just be a good thing that we could do. I was actually thinking about, you know, something that we could do. I did something at my job. It was a couple $100 and we had hundreds of people that came out. We only passed out hot dogs and popcorn. So, you know, just an idea. That is something that's a tradition in our district that you are probably unaware of. I don't know if anyone has shared with you, but that's important, not, you know, just to people. And so if it's something that we can do, if you got donors or something, just the basic ice cream bar and just tables with resources could just be helpful to make people feel comfortable and they feel like they meet the principal. I mean, we have a lot of turnover in staff, you know, and so it might help people feel comfortable that they can come get an application to register kids even, you know, just something. So no pressure. That's just an idea. That's something that my son's school do, and it takes a lot of anxiety about the first day of school.
Any additional questions, comments, or concerns? We really appreciate the update given.
I do have a staff report.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Pull it up. I had it pulled up. Okay, here we go. The subject is Parent Advisory Committee nomination. Today's date is August 9th, 2022. Reason for board approval, Rule 340.1838 of PA 451 requires that the Regional Education Service Agency of RESA or RESA Board of Education appoint a Special Education Parent Advisory Committee composed of representatives from each of its constituent local school districts. Facts and analysis. August 2020 marked the first time in several years that the Benton Harbor area schools nominated participants in the Parent Advisory Committee. The district is proud to send representatives on our behalf and keep the Office of Special Education abreast of parental issues as they relate to students with IEPs. The following Benton Harbor area schools parents are recommended for nomination as representative members of the Special Education Advisory Committee. Audrey Lewis, current representative, would like to continue. Latoya Norwood, new parent, the child attends Martin Luther King Jr. Elementary. Policy reference none, strategic goal reference, communication. Benton Harbor area schools will engage and inform all stakeholders to maximize district support. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor area schools Board of Education votes to approve the nomination of Miss Audrey Lewis and Miss Latoya Norwood to Barry and Risa for consideration and vote to the Special Education Parent Advisory Committee.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve staff report T1?
I make a motion. Oh, go ahead.
The motion has been made by Secretary Triplett, and I believe Treasurer Creighton, you were giving your support.
Yes, T1.
All right. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
I am so happy to see Ms. Norwood being a part of this committee, and thank you so much. You evidently were listening to a parent that's just been an absolutely amazing young parent. And Ms. Lewis has been with a part of the district for some time now. So I just really appreciate that. And I want to say to you, I appreciate the work that you're doing. And you stay on the wall. Keep pushing. Doing a good job.
You have the floor, Trustee Buchanan.
And also, Ms. Norwood, to her side, is an excellent cook.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Buchanan. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? All right, hearing none, Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote for staff report T1?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowen,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
Yeah.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, awesome. Thank you very much, Ms. Batiste Waddell. We really appreciate your reports provided this evening. We are going to move it right along to business and finance with Mr. Johnson regarding the monthly financial report, staff report F1.
Thank you. Reason for board consideration, a set of financial reports is provided to the Board of Education each month. Facts and analysis this evening, it is recommended that the June 2020-22 payments be approved for all of the district's funds. Policy reference is 6470, payment of claims. Strategic plan goal reference, not applicable in this case. Recommended action is that the Board of Education approve the June 2022 payments for the funds listed below.
Is there a motion to approve staff report F1?
I make a
Make-
motion,
Go ahead.
I make a motion to approve staff report F1.
Support.
The motion has been made by Vice President Bradley and supported by Treasurer Buchanan Treasurer Creighton, that we approve staff report F1 concerning the monthly financial reports. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
I just had a quick comment.
You have the floor.
I was saying, I see strategic plan goal reference none. I probably would say it would go on to operations because that is our goal, is to make sure that we have strong financials in the operations area. Just wanted to put that out there.
He said that for strategic planning reference, he would say operation.
Or just definition. Oh, okay.
Goal reference.
All right. Any other questions, comments, or concerns?
I do have a comment.
Go ahead. You have the floor.
I just want to publicly say that, currently, again, we talked about HR, we talked about all of these things, that Mr. Johnson I am the committee chair of the finance department, but I have to say that the chief that I'm working directly with is doing all that he can and the best that he can to make sure our finances are in order. And I want him to know that we do appreciate you. Even if, been harboring in our culture, that it's tough love, but we do appreciate you and we're grateful to have you.
I second that. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, Secretary Triplett.
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowen,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
Yeah.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. We're moving swiftly along. Next, we are at our Human Resources Report with our chief, Mrs. Gale. And we are beginning with staff report H1. And I believe all of those are now, Ms.
Right, I can't change them here, so I'm going to suggest you wanted to divide those separations into 3 reports.
That is correct. The separation of employment would be one consent agenda. Then we will have the admins on the new hires would be two separate,
New hires, separations are one agenda.
one agenda, and it'll be 3 on the new hires.
So we'll just number them accordingly at the end, 9 and 10, okay?
All right, so we are technically on staff report H1, correct? Separations are all
1 through
one consent
7.
agenda.
Yeah.
So we, in this vote, we are essentially looking at the original staff reports H1 through H7, but we're gonna take the vote all at one time. So I'm gonna let Ms. Gale go ahead and present those separations to us.
Read all 1 through 7, the names. Okay.
Mhm.
Reason for board consideration, a list of employees whose employment relationship with the district is or will be separated is submitted to the board each month. Facts and analysis, it is recommended that the Board of Education votes to accept the separation of employment of the following staff. Policy reference 3140, resignation and termination of staff. So I just need a minute.
Can't hear her.
She's
Trevor
just reading
Smiley,
H1.
graduation advisor. Sherry Shilegi, teacher. Carolyn Bowman, instructional facilitator. Natalie Logan Sharps, teacher by way of retirement. Kathy Kaiser, paraprofessional, also by way of retirement. Brian Scoggin, assistant principal. And Matthew Freyer, teacher.
All right, is there,
Recomm-
go ahead, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to accept the separation of employment of the aforementioned staff.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the staff report that has been joined to include staff report H1 through H7?
So moved.
Support.
The motion has been made by trustee Buchanan and supported by Vice President Bradley. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Yes, I'm very concerned. I look on here, and I see at the high school that we had 2 science teachers. And science teachers are a rarity, you know, everybody, that's the thing that everybody today. And we got 2. That's resigning. I would like to encourage a superintendent, if at all possible, to reach out. We requested an exit interview sheet. And in my almost 2 years being here, is the only one that we got a exit interview sheet from. We got one in my tenure here on the board. And so that was that was just very easy to.
They said you need your microphone, they can hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. In my 2 years of being on the Board of Education, I've been requesting this since I've been here, an exit interview piece. And I would like for the Human Resource Department to we need to look at this, because I've only received one in my history of being on this board. And, you know, just that, was just coincidental that it was an opportunity to talk about how horrible we were as people and how horrible individuals who need to be recalled and all that. But we did get that one, but nobody else does them. So, but these 2 science teachers, I would like to encourage our superintendent to please see if he could reach out and have some conversations. In particular, Ms. Sherry, I don't know how to say her name. She came to the Board of Education meeting for months. And she lived in Benton Harbor. She lived around the corner from the high school. I would like to also say congratulations to Kathy Kaiser, who's retiring. Kathy and I worked at Boynton Montessori Magnet School. She was one of my paraprofessionals. And she has been, Lauren, I know you remember Ms. Kaiser, been in this district for a long, long time. Would like to say congratulations and to thank her for her many, 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 many years of service. Also to Ms. Logan Sharp, would like to say thank you as well for these clock watchers. But thank you so very, very much. Y'all so busy. But thank you so very, very much. Ms. Logan and Ms. Kaiser, please let them know that we appreciate their many, many years. I'm sorry, Ms. Logan and Ms. Kaiser, the teachers and paraprofessionals, let them know we really appreciate them for their many, many years of service. Thank you.
Trustee Bowen.
Are any of these teachers that are resigning moving closer to home? Because some stay right around the corner, and that's what I'm saying. Some of these have they've been coming to us, and that's what I'm saying. And we've done nothing. And we told them to go to protocol, and then we have this. That's just what I gotta say. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I don't know, one of them might live in Lakeshore, but they moved to Lakeshore, so, to work. So, I mean, it's some real conversations, I think.
It is.
But one thing that I did notice, and I don't know if this is the appropriate time, but when it comes to the HR committee, I think you guys cheat with creating an agenda. You kind of cheat us, and we only talk about from HR, like separations and then new hires, and not really provide updates. And so I just kind of want to throw that out there, that we actually don't give Ms. Scales an opportunity to provide an update with what's going on, because maybe there's some insight that she doesn't get an opportunity to share. So if next month we can make sure that we put something besides, I don't know if that's a choice or not, but something besides just because it tends to be kind of negative, right? So if we can give her an opportunity to also provide an update, that might be helpful.
Call for the vote.
Are you meaning like on the board agenda, update on what she's working on in HR? Are you meaning within the committee report?
Yeah, so like how Chief Waddell gave everything that she's doing, and then she gave her staff report.
Okay.
If we could just do that, that might be where she can have an opportunity to kind of provide some insight on some other things besides just the negatives or things that's perceived to be negative.
All right, Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
Also, we're losing our assistant principal at the high school as well? I didn't see that. I'm sorry, I overlooked it. I'm sorry. All right, thank you. Yeah, President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowen.
It puts me in a bad situation because some I want to say yes and some I want to say no. I'm just being real.
Yeah.
I guess I'm gonna go ahead and say yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
I guess I'll say yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right, so next on the agenda, we have new hires. And I believe we are on, it's noted staff report H8. But we are,
So we did,
I don't know that did you change any numbers or anything?
Can't do it. I can't change it because my screen,
So
I can,
So should it be H8, 9, and 10 then, or how would that work?
9 and 10. So, Mr. Bradley,
I'm gonna ask for order. And Ms. Goodwin, I'm gonna ask that you try to clarify what you're saying.
my understanding is that you want administrators together, so Mr. Bullocks and Mr. George together, correct?
No.
Two separate.
Oh, two separate, Scott, okay. And then the TNT's on another one.
Yes.
H8 is Mr. Bullocks. H9 will be Mr. George. And, H10, the TNT's Evans, Hassel, Billingsley, Parker, and Sanders.
All right, Ms. Gill, staff report H8.
Submitting for board consideration to approve the employment of staff in accordance with the revised school code and other general laws of Michigan. Facts and analysis, it is recommended that the board approves the superintendent's recommendation for the hire of the following personnel. Policy reference 3120, employment of or 4120, or professional and or support staff. Strategic plan goal reference.
Wait,
Hold on a second, it's blocking me. Personnel leadership, Benton Harbor area schools will recruit, hire, develop, and retain the best staff to improve student outcomes. Joseph Bullocks, Facilities Director at Central. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve the employment of the aforementioned staff.
Is there a motion to approve staff report H8?
so move.
Support.
The motion has been made by Secretary Triplett and supported by Vice President Bradley. Questions, comments, or concerns?
I do have one.
You have the floor.
Oh, someone else's hand was up. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Trustee Bowen?
So does this individual for facilities director, he's also has a contract cutting the grass for the the school district. Do we now eliminate that contract and we have to put that bid out?
You have the floor, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. That contract or that bid was awarded before he accepted the position with the school district. Also, we are modifying the approval process for any payments submitted by the firm that he's affiliated with so that so his immediate supervisor is responsible for approving those payments.
Okay, I guess I'm lost. What I asked was, so he's going to be the facilities director and his lawn care company will still be getting paid?
That's correct. Well,
Is
the
that not-
lawn care company that he's affiliated with, I can't speak for certain whether he owns it.
It's
or-
named after him, he's the owner.
Sometimes vendors keep their names even after the original proprietor reduced their stake or equity in that firm.
Does that give an image of double dipping or play to play?
Well, the board awarded the work to that firm, and he's not approving his own invoices, so there's not a conflict of interest there.
Secretary Triplett.
I think I was next.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't.
Go
Treasurer
ahead, I
Craig,
just wanted that noted.
you have the floor, Treasurer Craig.
Okay, perfect. That was one of my questions. I brought that up during our approval of the agenda. And then the other question, comment, I know that there is some litigation right now with a former facilities director. And so I just wondered, in Ben Harbor, I think it's a custom that our facilities director actually do work. So I just wondered if this candidate, all candidates, are vetted and made sure that we ensure that they have the certifications that are necessary in order to do the work that we expect them to do. I know Mr. Weber, our former facilities manager, director, I noticed that there's a name change too. I think it was a lot of discrepancies with whether it's manager or director. So I'm noticing that this is director. But I remember him talking about doing boiler work. And so now that I've sat in on that meeting about this new lawsuit or litigation, I guess I'm curious to know, if we require them to have certifications, if they'll be doing the work, or how does that work? I do apologize that I missed the facilities, the HR meeting, but I just wondered. So my problem is not with an individual. I'm asking, to protect our district.
You have the floor.
I do want to confirm that the candidate, the superintendent is presenting to the board for hire actually possesses a contractor level certification, which is higher than what the district required.
The district or the law?
The district.
Right. So does that person have the certifications to do boiler work and all of the things that'll be expected to be done in the district?
I don't believe that the facilities director actually does the work on the boiler, correct? They actually hire a company to come in and do the work.
Okay, when he did that presentation, remember he stood there sweating, saying that he was working on the boilers every day.
Well, yeah, the boilers, let's proceed before we say too much about that particular topic. But I think to reiterate what Ms. Creighton is saying is we just want to make sure that we are inspecting the work that is stating that it's being done as well as the work that we're paying for. Secretary Triplett.
I think for the facilities director, I think just for clarification purposes, he will be the facilities director. And again, like you said, he won't be doing the actual work, so he will take the role of the responsibilities of directors of all facilities for the district. Also, and I do with the contract and what have you, as far as the contract that was prior, like you said, it's a company that that has the actual grass cutting contract. But we also have another company that has the grass cutting contract. They have the larger part of the grass cutting contract for Ben Harbor area schools. I think I'm not sure how to divide it with active buildings, and then one set is for the properties that we're not actually using. So those two different contracts like that. But he is going to be director of facilities for all of Ben Harbor area schools facilities. Is that not correct? What Mr. Weber was doing in charge of it. And so you say he has a level 3 or a top tier level of understanding. What did you just say, Ms. Gail? They talked about the qualifications.
He had a contractor's license, which
Okay.
is higher than individual licenses or that signify understanding of boilers or electrical work or plumbing. It's contractor level license.
Yes, okay, thank you so very much. So he's very knowledgeable with those licenses and able to do some things or lead, not just himself, lead, because anything that they actually do has to come back to the Board of Education and stuff like that. All right, thank you.
Vice President Bradley.
No, I was just going to say, the last person, I mean, we know with the boilers and everything, the main job is to just go down there and make sure that they are operating at normal pressure and everything. So that's all I'm gonna say on that.
All right, if there's no other questions.
I do have one in my hand as
You
well.
have the floor, Treasurer Craig.
I just want to be 100% transparent. I did graduate this person, and so I have no problem with this person. However, I think we're putting out a negative image to allow an employee to be a contractor. And I think a decision needs to be made in order for it not to be a conflict of interest. Again, we do have a current litigation with a former employee who provided contracts to family members, friends, and we're in court right now. And so we have to make sure that we are doing things legally. As much as I respect our chiefs, I think I will feel more comfortable having like some kind of legal opinion or looking at the policy to actually know, like, if this is a conflict of interest. It makes me feel very uncomfortable. Again, we have certified teachers, administrators at this table, and we have vacancies. We can't sit in a board seat and I'm not saying that the policy exists. I don't know if it does for employees and contracts, but I remember looking it up with one of our former superintendents, and there is a conflict of interest policy about being compensated. And so for me, I don't know the policy off the top of my head. I think but I would like to refer to the policy to make sure that this is not a conflict of interest, because we did pull the policy when one of our former employees was also making videos and receiving compensation from U of M for that in the same field. So I think there is a policy, and we might want to look into that before, because what kind of image are we putting out there to say that you can work and be a contractor in the same department? That's a little dicey for me.
Okay, so with notation of the effective date being July 25th, 2022, this person has began with the district. So Mr. Johnson, what I would ask is that you, as it relates to the existing contract, can you follow up with Troon and review current policy? So if we need to alter or consider options for termination of the contract, that's something that we have a legal opinion on doing.
President Robinson,
You have the floor.
is it appropriate to make a motion to table this until we get a legal opinion?
So we could do that, but just notating that the superintendent has already, this person's effective date has passed. So the board can choose not to take a formal vote, but they are currently working in the district.
Illegally, because the board didn't approve it.
So there is a policy that allows the superintendent to temporarily appoint a person into a position if it's a dire concern, which having a facilities director was. So
Even if the person is not a current employee? Or is that for internal candidates?
yeah, it doesn't specify that it has to be an internal candidate.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I make a motion that we table this until we get a legal opinion.
Support.
The motion has been made by Treasurer Creighton and supported by Trustee Bowens that we table staff report H8. Any questions, comments, or it's a table, so it's no discussion. Secretary Triplett.
Secretary Triplett, no. President Robinson,
Can you come back to me?
Vice President Bradley,
No.
Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowens,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
No.
Trustee Rocket Martin,
No.
Trustee President Robinson,
Oh, you done went to everybody, huh?
Yeah, let's go.
I'll indicate no.
Motion carried.
I want to make sure you notated that trustee Bowens exited the meeting at 7:56.
Liz, can you put that in your notes on this so it can be?
Oh, 8:01. My computer, we need to
These
get my
computers
computer
are-
update.
Excuse me, President Robinson.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, Corsten stated he. Oh, okay. Ms. Goodwin,
You said the motion carries, the motion,
motion failed.
it
Oh,
failed.
yes, motion.
Correct.
Yeah. So now we got to vote.
Yes, so now we would, and I believe, I'm sorry, I got confused. So trustee Bowens is exiting the meeting, and then the time was 8:01. Just want to make sure we have those noted in the minutes. So currently, the motion to table staff report H8 has failed. We will proceed with taking the vote for staff report H8.
I have a comment.
I'm sorry, how is this H9?
It's H8.
We're
We gotta
on
go back and
H8,
vote.
Ms. Goodwin.
I'm sorry, we're still on H.
Treasurer Creighton, you have the floor.
I just wanted it to be noted that I'm okay with the motion failing, but we have to make sure that we're not politically exposed. On top of this is election year. And if we're comfortable voting on a motion without knowing the legal ramifications while in litigation. Did you get that? You need me to repeat it? I want to ensure that we're not being politically exposed while currently in litigation for the exact same thing. That we need to be mindful of the law and being a good steward for this district. Thank you.
Madam President.
You have the floor, Secretary Triplett.
Yeah, and I myself think that all of this information was vetted. I think the question to say, what it would look as it relates to contracts, with how that would look with the lawn care contract and what have you, but as far as qualifications, certifications, and being qualified to do the work and having the experience and what have you, this is another thing for that it kind of, for me, I think because we live here in Ben Harbor, we may know people and different things like that. I think that we say that, we want people to work from Ben Harbor, but every time it's somebody from Ben Harbor, if it's not me, and it goes from, sometimes it's me, sometimes it's somebody else, but we struggle with that as well. I think that I have all confidence that from the facilities committee perspective and from what they did, Mr. Johnson and all of them, and the depth of knowledge that this candidate had to be able to lead us in that area. I think that I don't think we're politically exposing anybody or any individual. I don't know how this would have anything to do with the upcoming election, but I think we should go forth with the vote.
Treasurer Creighton.
Again, I graduated with this person. I'm friends with these people. I don't have a personal problem. However, I'm an elected official. And again, if you read our finance committee packet, you'll notice that we're in current litigation. Now some part of it is qualifications, but my concern, as noted, I hope you noted it, my concern is not whether this person is qualified or not. I don't know personally, but my concern is more or less, should this person be a contractor and a department chair? So let's say, right, our chief, one of our chiefs might have a book company, and that person, that chief, decides that they're going to award our supplemental book materials to that company. Is that a conflict of interest? It's in our policy. I don't know where it is. It's in there. So again, I don't have a problem with this person. I have a cordial relationship with this person, but I'm a black and white person, and I believe in doing things decently and in order. So when I referred to being politically exposed, I was nearly referring to governance, oversight, and accountability. And so whether that person is my friend, a family member, or foe, I'm about being accountable. And again, I do think it's being politically exposed to provide a contract and allow a worker to also have a contract. And so I digress. We can call for the vote. I want that to be noted. I don't see our secretary taking notes, but I do want that noted.
Are there any additional comments or questions regarding staff report H8?
Did you get that written down, Liz?
Yes, and I also reviewed the minutes as well.
Okay, so the secretary has taken the note, the proper secretary.
I wasn't referring to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Gail, I think you had input to provide.
I believe the request was made to obtain the opinion of the attorney, which we can certainly do in the meantime. If you would like to peruse the policy number is 3110, and it does address very clearly the situation, if that would be helpful.
Can you please read the portion that you're referencing?
Oh, well, hold on. I closed it.
Strong and wrong.
It's long. It is long, but it does address that staff member, or if I may rephrase, and that staff members or board members may, in fact, be contractors if that is disclosed and if they do not make any decisions that would affect the contracts, which in this case what transpired.
And which policy was that, Ms. Gail?
3110.
Okay, any other questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, were you getting ready to make a comment?
I was just going to say, I do share the same sentiments because this has been Harvard's a small town, but my voters will be no. I've already talked to the superintendent about why, and I'm leaving it at that.
Okay. Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote for staff report H8?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
No.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
No.
Trustee Buchanan,
Yes.
Trustee Racket Martin,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right, and so, Mr. Johnson, I know that you'll follow up on the actual contract of whether or not we need to discontinue services, or if the attorneys has any input to provide a legal opinion on that. We're gonna proceed, if I'm not mistaken, we're on staff report H9, and this is in regards to Mr. Dortch, Ms. Gail.
Facts and analysis, it is recommended that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation for the hire of the following personnel. Policy reference 3120, employment of professional staff. Strategic plan goal reference, personnel leadership. Benton Harbor area schools will recruit, hire, develop, and retain the best staff to improve student outcomes. Denzel Dortch as interim dean of students at the middle school. It is recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve the employment of the aforementioned staff.
Is there a motion to approve staff report H9?
So move.
Support.
The motion has been made by Secretary Triplett and supported by Vice President Bradley. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Excited to have Denzel back, former student, graduate of Ben Harbor High School, Texas Southern University. From last year, did an absolutely amazing job with the young men over at Fairplain Middle School and just got right in there and did the good work. It's good to see alumni coming back from college and being able to come back here and work. So I'm very happy to have Denzel Dortch, getting ready to say Denzel Barnes, but Denzel Dortch back working within our area schools.
All right, any other questions, comments, concerns regarding staff report H9? Hearing none, Secretary Triplett?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes. Yes.
okay. Trustee Buchanan,
Yeah.
Trustee Rocket Martin,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right, next we have staff report H10, and these include all of our TNT hires, teacher and trainer hires. So I'll give the floor to Ms. Gail.
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm stuttering. I'm trying to find the right angle. My glasses are bifocal. Submitting for board consideration to approve the employment of staff in accordance with the revised school code and other general laws of Michigan. Facts and analysis, it is recommended that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation for the hire of the following personnel. Policy reference 3120. Strategic plan goal reference, personnel leadership. Benton Harbor area schools will recruit, hire, develop, and retain the best staff to improve student outcomes. We have Barbara Evans, teacher in training, 3rd grade. Sarita Hassel, teacher in training, 6th grade. Anna Billingsley, teacher in training, 10th grade. Cassandra Parker, teacher in training, special education. And Christopher Sanders Jr., teacher in training, PE and health. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve the employment of the aforementioned staff.
Is there a motion to approve staff report H10?
Support.
The motion has been made by Trustee Buchanan, supported by Vice President Bradley. Any questions, comments, and concerns?
I don't think that I can vote on this. I have, you guys did a consent. I have a great nephew that's in this cluster of teachers in training.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, Secretary Triplett.
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
Yeah.
Trustee Rocket Martin,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right, so staff report H10 has passed. We have no other reports from Ms. Gale, so I thank you for your presentation and your hires provided to us this evening. We are going to proceed with Student Support Services, Mr. Miller.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So we want to start with the facilities updates from our last board meeting. From the high school, we have pictures of the painting of the cafeteria. There's one thing that I noticed when I first came into the district. I said I was going to get that wall painted back orange. Painting is underway in our hallways and our cafeteria. The painting contractor will start painting down the band room hallway this week. Tomorrow, we will be scrubbing and cleaning floors starting this week. The ceiling tiles are changed in the cafeteria. Some of the stains that was food being thrown, and we changed those tiles. The cafeteria walls has been painted back orange, as you can see on the picture there. We're in the process of getting trees cut. We had several trees cut down on this campus and bushes trimmed. So we're working on that. And we are getting a quote to replace sewer lines at the high school. Fairplain Middle School, as you can see on the picture, AC units have been installed in the classrooms. The maintenance team have been doing a great job. They finished the staff offices at the middle school. We currently finished the painting in the classrooms this week. We're working on matching tiles to complete the staff bathroom by the main office. All the classrooms have been shampooed and cleaned. We are in the process of getting trees cut there and bushes trimmed. And lastly, we are getting a quote to replace sewer lines and the rest of the roof restoration is beginning at the end of this month for Fair Plain Middle School. And you also can see one of the bathrooms painted. Ladies did a great job. Our custodians did a great job of painting the bathrooms over at Fair Plain Middle School this past month. Next, we have Fair Plain East. All the classrooms have been painted, carpets clean, floors waxed. As you can see, this is the gymnasium floor. The hallways have been buffed and waxed. And also, as you go up, you can see the classroom floors have been buffed and waxed as well. The roof restoration is going to begin at the end of this month as well for Fair Plain East. Next, we have MLK. Currently, we're in the process of deep cleaning and painting at MLK. The AC units will start being installed this week and next week. Ceiling tiles have been replaced, and we are in the process of getting trees cut and bushes trimmed there as well. And this is one of the classrooms where the carpet has been cleaned and shampooed. Discovery Enrichment Center. We currently in process of deep cleaning and painting there. AC units will start being installed this week and next week. The wood floor in the cafeteria, it needs to be sanded down and polished, so we're getting quotes for that as well. And we are in the process of cutting trees. I noticed we cut a few trees down and trimmed bushes there this week. And for the district, the rest of the AC units that were donated by Whirlpool will be picked up this week. Thanks to Dr. Butts, we got that process taken care of this week. The sign for the transportation garage has been purchased and we picked it up. We just have to frame it out and remove the old sign that's in front of the building so we can put the new sign down. So we have the sign in our skills center.
I was trying to bring that up for you and I can't.
Oh,
I was trying to bring up the picture.
Oh, this is the sign for the transportation garage there.
All right. Is that the
That's
end
it
of your facilities update or is more?
Oh, that was it for our facilities updates.
All right. Any questions, comments, or concerns for Mr. Miller?
Mr. Miller, it's good to see these things that happening. When I went over to the thing, the name of the facility is Renee Robinson Williams Facility. That is the name of it, but I mean, we got Renee Williams now, but it is Renee Robinson Williams Transportation. So it's on the thing, but we have what we have. We just got Renee Williams, but we can maybe make that. It's good that eyesore is gone. That is going to be gone. Another question, when I was looking here, and I've said this over and over, it's good to see that wall in the cafeteria painted and what have you. Just a recommendation, if you could, to the principal. They use that entrance for where the cash registers are on that entrance by that wall. And so while the students are waiting to go, when they start, they're standing, the food starts there, they're standing leaning on the wall. If they can shift it where they enter in, there's two entrances, entrance and exit. That will help sustain that paint job. If they switch it where they come to this door right here, then you won't have, that was the problem that they had at the school. To just take that into consideration of them coming in the opposite direction and coming out that way versus leaning on the wall. But everything looks extremely nice. Fair Plain East, I don't know what it is about Fair Plain East, that everything is new and classroom painted and ceiling and roof. I don't know what that is, but I would like to see the things moving in the other buildings as well. I don't know if it have anything to do with the union president being at every meeting, eyeballing people and strong arm, I'm not sure, but those classrooms look absolutely beautiful. And one more thing, riding through with the air conditioners, can we paint the wood?
Yes.
On the out, was that a part of the plan?
Yes, we're gonna put them all in first and then we're gonna
paint the wood?
Yeah.
Okay, so one like this blocks of wood. All right, thank you.
All right, next, are there any other questions or comments? Vice President Radley.
Speaking of that, make sure to know, and let the facilities director know to, try to treat that wood on the outside so it won't get warped over time as well, too. So in that way we can save money and it still looks cosmetically good. Thank you.
Oh, one more thing.
Secretary Triplett.
The only place that I really see leaves in July and all year round is in our facility. And it's like really about to literally run me crazy. And you know, this picture here with the John C. Sam Memorial Park, and I know the family, my class vice president, this was her father. And I know this really meant a lot to them. But if you look at the bottom of it, it's leaves. And, you know, they don't fall in the summer. And these leaves are here year after year after year. And we're paying these contractors, you know, to cut the grass and you know, because the aesthetics of a school in the school system is very important, you know. So I don't know if you guys have that. I have about 150 pictures I can send you. So yeah, thank you so very much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Miller. Next, we have the athletics update.
All right, our district athletics. So since our last board meeting, athletic trainer update, we have the contract signed with Lakeland. The next steps is for Lakeland to procure an athletic trainer for our department, our athletic department. Fall sports, high school sports, tryouts, practices started on Monday. Our first football game, varsity football game, is August the 25th at Lawton at 7 p.m. Our first volleyball contest is August the 27th at All Clear at 9 a.m. Middle school sports starts August 22nd, and the first contest starts of September the 19th. And I have a picture, scroll up of the new baseball sign that has been installed, John C. Sam's Memorial Park. So be happy about that. And that's it for athletic updates.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Miller regarding the athletic updates?
We talked about a walkthrough, Madam President, but we haven't had that yet as far as facilities for, like I said, for the athletic facilities and stuff like that. So we do that as soon as possible. Let us know when we can do it.
All right, Trustee Bone,
I'll-
go ahead.
I'll be addressing it during my superintendent's comments.
All right, Trustee Buchanan.
Mr. Miller, you're doing an excellent job. Keep it up. Excellent. You talked about, you doing that, you doing that, you done that. My son doing that. You got boys doing stuff they would do at home. There's one lady, I forgot the boy's name. But you got them working.
Thank you. Next, there is a student support services update noted.
Yep, I have a brief update on esports. Our update, we recently, this past week, joined the North America Scholastic Esports Federation for our esports program here at the high school, starting here at the high school. We are part of the Southwest Esports Group, working with Barry and Risa. Thank you to our team, our IT team, making that connection. I was over at Lakeland, Michigan College, where they had their open house, and they, you know, they want us to be a part of everything they have going on in our Berrien County. So want to make sure that our esports is the best in the state. So we are working on our 3-year plan that aligns to our district strategic plan. So we're working with Barry and Risa and our curriculum team to make sure that it aligns to our strategic plan as well. And lastly, I want to say, been working with Chief Waddell in transportation on bus routes. We're working on the routes now, and we are planning to send home transportation letters to all our families this year.
All right. And thank you so much for that update. Any questions for Mr. Miller? All right, thank you, Mr. Miller, for your report. Next, we have old business. Any old business? Hearing none, new business. Hearing none, we have open public comment. Is there anyone here that would like to make a open public comment? You have the floor, Mr. Pitchford. I have to read the statement for you, though. The Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on district matters. Today, there were 2 areas for comment on the agenda of which you may decide when to speak: public comment on agenda items and open public comment. We request that each interested participant complete a public participation form using legible writing to ensure that responses are appropriate and properly focused. Per Benton Harbor Area Schools Bylaw 0167.3, which governs board participation at board meetings, we request that you preface your comments with your name, address, and group affiliation when appropriate. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to a 3-minute duration, and per our bylaws, no participant may speak more than once on the same topic until any other persons have had an opportunity to speak on that topic. Participants may remove their mask when addressing the board. Participants shall direct all comments to the board and not to staff or other participants. Lastly, the board will listen, take comments and questions under advisement and not respond at this time. I, as president, will refer questions to the superintendent for research and response. Please ensure that your public participation form includes your contact information as requested. If you have specific questions for the board or executive team that require follow-up, please email those directly to liz.goodwin@bhas.org. You can proceed.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Shokwe Pitchford, and if you have not heard, last Tuesday we had a primary election for the Berrien County Board of Commissioners, which District 3 includes Benton Township, Sodus Township, and Hager Township. And I was declared the winner early Wednesday morning. So I've been going around to all the municipalities, all the different meetings, and introducing myself. One of the things I ran on most namely was reducing gun violence in Benton Harbor and Benton Township. And one of the ways I think we're going to do that is by stop number 1, pointing at Black communities and saying that just because a community has a high percentage of African Americans, that means it is inadvertently violent. I think that we have to start addressing poverty and poverty at its root. And one of the ways the Berrien County Board of Commissioners can do that, and as a commissioner myself, that we're going to start reinvesting in skilled trades. Every young man and young woman is told that if you don't go off and get a 4-year degree with a lot of student loan debt, or you need to become a rapper, a singer, you need to go off and get into sports. But what happens when none of those things work out for you? You end up in the streets, you end up trying to make money fast, you may work a dead-end job for the rest of your life. My thought process is that we need to reinvest in helping young men and women in our community become plumbers, pipe fitters, electrical workers, making $20 and $30 an hour. And this is not just a campaign promise. This is something that's happening right now. I'm not at liberty to say who at the moment, but there is a very large amount of money coming into Benton Harbor for this program. And they're going to train young men and women to do this, and they want it to be something that's long lasting. What I would like is for that program to then partner with the Benton Harbor area schools so that we can get our young men and women who may not be on a track to college into this program that will pay you for the apprenticeship and will give you a license by the end to be an apprentice worker or something of that nature. Another thing that I ran on, and something that we have to do on the county level that I heard even tonight, is about retention. We have a problem in the county right now when it comes to retaining employees. Not many people that look like us work in the county. And I think that's by design a lot of the times, and we have got to start to open the doors for more people from Benton Harbor and Benton Township to get into county positions. We have a lot of fraud at the county. There's a lot of barriers to getting in, but I think as we start to expand how we look at positions, number 1 is childcare. There's not many things being done on the county level when it comes to helping young families with children. And I think the health department needs to be expanded, especially in their funding to help young parents. And I think that's going to inadvertently help Benton Harbor, and it's even going to help Benton Harbor area students. So I'm extremely excited to be an asset to this community. I will be open and transparent with you as much as possible, and I want to be an ally. So I would definitely like to work with Dr. Butts in his interim position as superintendent when it comes to trying to get these skilled trade programs in the schools. So thank you.
Thank you. And congratulations to you, kind sir. And it is my understanding that you currently do not have opposition for the November election.
Yes.
Congratulations. All right, you have the floor.
Yes, Brenda Terrell. Good evening.
I first want to say thank you to Dr. Butts for immediately starting the work. You didn't talk about it, you came in and you did it. And we haven't seen that in a long time. I call you interim superintendent. I'm calling you my superintendent, okay?
That's right.
That's what I'm calling you. And I also want to thank Tiana Waddell for attacking the curriculum issues that we've been having. We do appreciate it. I know sometimes we don't come off as though we are supporting, but we are supporting you. I want you to know that, okay? Okay, so saying that, I need to say this. So we discussed accountability a lot. So I need to know what policy and procedures will be put in place to attack the huge truancy problem that we have in our district. Not only put in place, but follow it. There's a correlation with truancy and test scores. Parents, guardians, and caregivers must be held accountable and be held responsible for getting their children to school. Teachers can't teach the kids if they are not present at school. And the test scores do drop because of that. We've had kids missing 50, 60, 70, 80, and I know 80 days because I had some students sitting in my classroom that had missed that many days. 90, 100 days of school. Come on, you guys, we have got to do better with our truancy. We cannot blame these teachers for not teaching the kids, because we have some good teachers in this district. We have the best teachers in our district. And we need some help. So when these kids are missing, and we can't use all these excuses, oh, they're sick. If they're that sick, then they need to be under a doctor's care. Bring us a doctor's note, and then we can work from there. But we have got to stop with the excuses. We need our kids at school. We need them sitting in front of us so we can teach them. And also, I did put in here that we need to work on those CTE programs for our district. I know a young lady stood here not even a year ago talking about the beauty college and all that. I've seen some little 12 and 13-year-olds doing hair, and they are good at it. And they need something to look forward to. We, like you said, everybody's not going to college, but we gotta have something for our kids. If we don't do it, who's gonna do it? Who's gonna do it? These are our kids. And one last thing, because I had a text already. You might want to look into it. The calendar states that National Principals Month and National Teachers Week. And I said, well, maybe that's a typo. Maybe they meant National Principals Week instead of month. Because they said, how is a principal gonna get a month and the teachers get a week? So I'm just telling you, it started already. So you might want to look into it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Hi, everyone. My name is Latanya Mitchell, and I currently work for Discovery Enrichment Center as the family liaison. I am bringing my concerns today because I am very upset. I have been working in the district for 6 years, and I am not an employee, and I'm not happy with that at all. I'm a Ben Harbor alumni, and I feel like if anybody deserves a job, it should be me. We have awesome teachers who are resigning, not because of pay, not because they're moving, but because they don't get treated fairly, which also hurts me. Another thing that I would also like to bring up is safety. I have heard 2 incidents where a staff member has pulled a knife out on another staff member and nothing has been done. I cannot be at work and don't be safe. I cannot be in no building and do not feel safe at all. That is a major concern for me. That's it.
Thank you. Any other public comments? You have the floor.
Hello. I'm Tina. I'm up here because I have a son that will be coming to the high school next year, and I want to make sure that my child is safe. Everybody know me. Everybody know I do not shut up when it comes down to the kids, and everybody know I do not have a problem going over somebody's head. But I see a lot of things that's happening, and are we going to hold these parents accountable? When these kids act up, are you going to hold them accountable? Are you going to get them out to school? You worry about a retention, but I'm gonna tell you, a lot of the kids not coming to Ben Harbor schools because the parents don't feel they're safe. My child have 1 year, and if I feel my child is not safe, he will be coming up out of here. I am one of those parents who drive an hour away, I work in Cassopolis, so I have no problem with dropping them off in DeWaljack, all clear, because I head that way. But are we gonna hold these parents accountable? Or are we gonna continue to make excuses? They're from a poor home. These kids walking around with clothes more expensive than mine, and I can't even afford it, and I work every day with a master's degree. So are we gonna hold them accountable? Are we gonna make excuses for the parents? They got 10 phones, 10 different numbers. Do you have family advocates that's going out to these homes to see what's going on? I was one through Head Start. So it can be done, but you need to hold them accountable because they got one time for my baby to get hurt, and I'm calling everybody. And it's ridiculous, but they need to make sure these kids are safe. That's why these kids are not coming into this building, because they are not safe. Parents do not feel they're not safe. It's not because the teachers are incompetent, because you guys got great teachers, great staff, great. I am a Ben Harbor graduate. But at the end of the day, will you hold these parents accountable when their kids are up here acting a fool, or when these parents are up here acting a fool? Or are you going to make an excuse for them? The little Johnny mom has a 7th grade education, so we have to feel sorry for them. No, we're not doing that. Hold them accountable. Kick them out of here. Call the police. Call whoever. Call somebody. But I'm gonna tell you now, my baby got 1 year, or I will be pulling him up out of here, because they need to hold these parents and these kids accountable for their actions. I see it. Deshauna, a president, know what I do for a living, so you know exactly what I see every day. And there's no reason. I have been in so many different schools throughout the state of Michigan, and they hold parents accountable, and that's exactly why they have a great success. So I'm just wondering, are you going to hold these parents accountable, or are you going to continue to make excuses for them? And I want my baby safe while he up here, or I will be here every day. I'm just playing.
Thank you. Any additional public comments? You have the floor.
Thank you. I just have some questions.
Your name?
Can you hear me?
Your name?
My name is Elnora Gavin, Ben Harbor parent, and all of the above. My question is, and it's really a question about equity. I've asked it before. You know, when we had COVID, when we were dealing with COVID, we were required to wear the mask. We're still required to wear the masks. But one of the benefits of COVID is that we learned that Zoom works. And it was an opportunity for a community to be involved in the meetings. It was an opportunity for board members to be involved in the meetings. And I noticed that your committees are virtually available, but you took away that option for the community to be involved in the meetings. It feels unfair. We're sitting here sometimes 5 hours. We have children, people have disabilities. I'm just wondering, you know, was that a legal thing, or was that an administrative decision to, you know, possibly shut out the folks? And do you have a CTE director whose sole responsibility is CTE director and not both a CTE director and a principal? That's what we had last year. She's amazing. She could do either in an amazing way. But when you give one person 2 jobs, that's just asking too much of anybody. That's not fair to them. That's not fair to our kids. And if you're saying that, you know, CTE, careers and technical education, is a priority, we have to show that by having somebody solely in that position, not comparing us to St. Joe or anybody else. Ben Harbor deserves a CTE director in that position so that our kids can have those opportunities. And then the other thing that I like to say is, if the Boys and Girls Club wants to renovate those buildings, perhaps demolition is not the answer. There's some worth there. I've seen Mr. Barnes and other contractors say that they wanted to partner with Ben Harbor area schools. And, you know, I don't know what happened there. I don't know what happened with that. And then I remember a whole hearing on boilers. I remember our kids being very, very cold. And I'm just wondering what happened with that. Hopefully we'll, you know, get on top of that so that our kids are not in the condition that they were in before. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? All right, hearing none, we'll proceed to Dr. Buss for interim superintendent announcement and comments.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, President Robertson. In your package that I gave, is the following our board highlights for the Board of Education meeting on tonight. The Whirlpool Golf outing was on Monday, and the district will receive $250,000 from the generosity of its suppliers. Funds will be distributed through the Benton Harbor Education Foundation. As to the newly created District School Culture and Climate Specialist, we have chosen an internal candidate with significant experience in the area of school culture and climate. Congratulations to Dr. Christopher Bernick. He will, for the time being, maintain a small percentage of the SPED duties while we transition. The sports time that was brought into concern, the sports time will remain the same. Those times will not be changed for our sporting events. Also in your packet, there was a question from the July 27th Special Board of Education meeting about a master's facility plan as requested by Treasurer Creighton. It's presented to the board tonight. It outlines various options on how to approach this important project. So you have several options to choose from, to prioritize with. And if you collectively as a board choose your priority on which we move, we can start to set timelines, dates for the master facilities plan moving forward. Also in your packet, there's a facilities update. Mr. Miller has gone through the updates, but in your packet is a comprehensive update of what's going on at each building as he presented earlier. So I won't go back through those again. At the end of your packet, you will see that the website will be updated soon with a supply list coming on the website for parents. We've given the principals until the 12th to submit their supply list so that we can post them on the website and possibly at our local stores so that parents will know what to expect for supplies for the upcoming school year. Mr. Miller briefly referenced the roof repairs for Fairplain Middle and Fairplain East. The tentative start date that we already have in place is September 1st. We'll be using our sinking funds to get started on those repairs, weather permitting. We will be sending out requests for the tours of the facilities prior to the beginning of the school year to each of the board members so that you can have a look at what has been done within the school buildings. Also, still seeking the one-on-one meetings with the board members if you haven't met with me yet to get to know what I have planned for the district moving forward. And I think that concludes my updates for tonight and the items in your packets that you've received.
Thank you for your announcements and comments. Dr. Butts, are there any questions or comments? Trustee Buchanan?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay, Treasurer, Secretary Triplett.
It's good to see our, things moving. We did, the transition, it almost appears to be seamless. We were able to go, just continue in moving in the right direction. Appreciate with the sports time of our football game for our varsity teams at 7:00 p.m. But I'll finish in my closing comments. Thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments in response to Dr. Butt's announcements and comments? All right, hearing none, we'll proceed with the board member announcements and comments. And I just want to make sure to notate to the members of the public that we're doing the announcements and comments currently because we do have a closed session that's after board member announcements and comments, and then we'll come back in to adjourn. So you all are welcome to stay here during that closed session within the room. However, we'll be going into the closed session room, but we're doing our announcements currently. So if you decide that you want to exit when we go into closed session, you do not miss the board member and superintendent announcements and comments. So we'll begin today with Trustee Raquel Martin.
My thing is we are
Talking to the mic, please.
we are ambassadors.
She can't hear
for our
you.
district. And since we are ambassadors for our district, it makes a difference how we paint our district to the community and to other people, other entities. And so I am a firm believer that we do have issues. That's not to be denied. But I'm also a firm believer to look to the positive and to put those things behind a lot of the people that suffered at the hands of past people. Those people are now gone. And so I would like to take this moment, this time, to look to the future and to know that our district employees and our teachers and our students will be treated fairly. They will have the things that they need. They will be taught well, and that they will be in a position to be able, when they graduate, to complete at a global level. I am also in a mindset that I understand we have all of these buildings and they've been here a long time, but I would love to have some new schools, some brand new updated schools. I especially like Dr. Butz's, the one plan with the educational facilities, because I've seen high school and elementary schools where they build the school, they structure the architecture in the school for the learning of the kids, and not so much for, they have the kids in mind when they put it together. I've seen hubs where middle school kids can get together and congregate and converse one with another in schools, in upgraded schools. So yeah, I'm looking forward to continue to working with the board and to keep striving for perfection in our board. So, and in our district, we have good ideas. We've got great teachers. We've got wonderful students. I didn't go to Benton Harbor, but I'm a product of teaching in Benton Harbor for over 40 years of working in this district. And so my heart is in Benton Harbor. So I'm going to keep promoting my district. I don't care how people were, like I said, those people were gone, and I'm sorry they experienced those things, but I still say, go out and recruit people, the best that you can find, to come and work in our district, because this is a great place to work, and we have great kids to work with.
Thank you. Trustee Buchanan.
Yes, I would like to say thanks for coming. And I got two, Mr. Miller mentioned about the locker room and stuff. Now, Ruth Harvey, Miss Harvey, and Mr. Brown was the athletic director, but she kept that locker room up so good. So everybody just closed your eyes and said, thank you, Ruth. Because she in heaven now doing something for God. Also, Miss Betty Sherman, that owned Betty's Dry Cleaners, on August the 1st, she was 100 years old. And so she gone on to heaven. Her son called me last night. The funeral gonna be tomorrow. I don't know exactly where, but people that stand out in this community, when I had my drill team, I didn't let the uniform go home. I washed them, Betty cleaned them. And she brought one of the prettiest ladies. I was in the mall, and this lady said, "Lou, you ain't gonna speak to me?" I saw the lady with her hair all down, just sharp. And I said, "I don't know you, miss." She said, "Well, next week you take your uniform." I said, "Oh, Miss Betty. So, and when she retired, I decorated for her retirement party. And you hear the board members, each person, all on this board, we got to come together. We got to stop spreading rumors. And Miss Gavin mentioned about Dylan Bonds, and I was in this program, Jumpstart. In fact, I won $2,000 worth of drum within bar school. And it was a certain person on the board at that time. Said a lot of nasty stuff. Mr. Bond has a program with football, basketball, and my drill team. He wrote a resolution for it. A contract for it. And this person threw it away. So he know how to, he built my son's house at 160 Robin.
Please wrap up your comment.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Next, we have Secretary Triplett.
You need to start that over at 2 minutes. It was 1:55. Start that over at 2, Liz, since we're clock watching.
Sure.
Well, y'all gonna get, I'm trying to be nice and professional with both of y'all.
Time
I'll
to
let you
tick.
get by along. Can you start it at 2?
I did. I'll do it again. Okay, whenever you're ready.
I want to say to this community, I am an elected official, made a commitment to represent the people, not special interests or anything like that, to stand up for our citizens and for our students. And so today, you know, as I was preparing, started noticing that every time I come to a meeting here, that I started to get anxious and it really doesn't feel comfortable to me. But I made up in my mind that I'm prepared, even if it's 6-1. I'm gonna stand for what I think is right, even if I have to stand alone. It's a partnership. Everybody, you know, a lot of the negative things get blamed on the school system. The school system serves the people that live in this community. If the kids are out of line, these are people that live in this community. If the parents are out of line, these are people that live in this community. It's not the school. And it takes everybody, you know, because other schools, it doesn't hit the papers and things like that. There's school fights across, right in here, people send, but they'll post Ben Harbor school fights, but they won't post theirs. So I think that it's important to thank you, Dr. Butt, for stepping in and doing the work that you're doing. And to all of the chiefs, thank you so very, very much. When I have my questions and my concerns, it's not personal. You just happen to be in that position. You're not the first person in that position, you won't be the last in that position. So I'm going to speak for position purposes only. But you know, I always hear this, it's just so much, Ben Harbor is just this, and Ben Harbor is just that, and Ben Harbor is just this, and Ben Harbor is just that. I think that's something that people like to say. But we have some of the best kids because, you know, we say tigers are predators and never the prey. Or, you know, we've been Harbor Tigers, and the class reunions come back and everybody
Secretary
marching.
Triplett, please wrap up your comment.
Okay, marching and talking about their class and we graduated and this and that and the other, but the real Tigers is the ones that's in the school system right now that's enduring all of this and still saying, I want to be a Tiger. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Triplett. Next, we have Treasurer Creighton.
Thank you. A few weeks ago, we lost one of our parents, and I think one of our big time frequent visitors, public commenters, who actually encouraged us to get a strategic plan, who encouraged us about accountability and practicing what we preach. And so I would like to use 10 of my seconds for a moment of silence in honor of Anicia Noel Triplett. Thank you. Also, just want to say that I'm really excited about all of the good work that's being done in Benton Harbor area schools under the leadership of our new interim superintendent and also our chiefs. I'm very excited about the things that we hear. The oath that I took last year was governance, oversight, and accountability. And so my intention is not to offend anyone. It's just to make sure that that A is a big A in all caps, accountability. And so I'm committed to that we talked about that at our board retreat. I'm excited about that work. Also, I know some public comment and it's been a lot of chatter and I think our new candidate who, like he said, would be the representative for our county. mentioned it, and then it was also echoed with some of the other public comments, and then Dr. Butts. But CTE is critical, and the money that's being referred to, some of the people that seems to be on our team are really looking to outsource and take advantage of those dollars and taking them away from the district. So again, I challenge my peers to read and be prepared. Let's not just bark, let's have some document and some knowledge to support so that we can bite. I think if you believe in God, you can go to the Bible, and I'm finishing my comment. But you can go, and you can't show up to a fight without armor. And so reading is fundamental. Read, be prepared before you come to this table so that you're not just barking, but that your bark can have some bite in that accountability and that governance oversight and accountability. Thank you.
Thank you, Treasurer Creighton. Next, we have Vice President Bradley.
All right, I'm gonna keep it real brief. I want to thank everyone for coming out, all the members of the public, to our future county commissioner. Congratulations on a race well done. Like I said, I drove out there, saw somebody walking. I looked and said, who was that? And it was you walking, out there, door knocking and doing what you have to do and doing the grassroots work. You're encouraging me to go do what I got to do. So, so I had a chance to have my one-on-one with the superintendent today, and I'm excited for the vision that he's bringing to the district. There are things down the pike that are coming, and we just have to be consistent and keep pushing so that we can push this district to greater heights. I know we want to try to hold on to a lot of traditions and everything, but we have to keep pushing. We have to also keep in the forefront that things are not going to be like they were 5, 10, 15, 25 years ago. So we have to put on a new way of thinking and looking at things, and also working with the younger generations. But the younger generations, we also have to embrace the older and listen to the impartation of wisdom, and even look at the foolishness of some of the older ones and up there learn from that as well. Let me see. I also, I had to make sure, I did see that study about, they did the preschool study where they had the camera with the young kids, and the teachers were just focusing on a Black child. And so they said that Black men or Black students don't go to school as often as other groups. So we have to look at ways of encouraging our young men to take education seriously. With all that, stay encouraged, Benton Harbor, and let's keep pushing forward. Thank you.
Thank you. So I will keep my comments brief. I just want to thank everyone for coming this evening. Thank you all for all of the work that you've done in your individual committees. Great work. Thank you to our chiefs for your efforts as well. We appreciate you. We are only asking questions because we want to have a firmer and a more thorough understanding of the work being done, but we're also placed in these seats to ensure that, as Treasurer Creighton stated, that accountability is in place. And so we appreciate you. We do not want you to believe that the questions are a lack of appreciation, but more so confirmation and affirmation of our efforts to support you in ensuring that Benton Harbor area schools is the best that it can be. And by our self-assessment, we are also showing that we are committed to being the best that we can be as well. We want to thank you to the public who has been patient for sitting here with us and joining us this evening, and just hoping everyone has a great evening. So I am going to now ask, the next topic on the agenda is a closed session. Now, your agenda actually indicates that it's under policy 0167.3, but that's actually the public participation policy reference number. The appropriate policy is 0167.2. And then it's section G, and it is to review the specific contents. Sorry, my computer. All right, so it's to review the specific contents of an application for employment or appointment if the candidate requests that the application remains confidential. So at this particular time, I'm going to ask, is there a motion to end open session and enter closed session?
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
All right, the motion has been made by Vice President Bradley. Is there a second or support?
Support.
The motion has been made by Vice President Bradley and supported by Secretary Triplett, any questions, comments, or concerns?
I have one.
You have the floor.
I won't be attending a closed session tonight.
That's fine. We have. Oh, so where did Ms. Rocket go? Okay, we still have a quorum. All right. Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none. Secretary Triplett.
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowens, Trustee Buchanan,
Yeah.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, motion carries. So we will end open session and enter closed session at 9:01 p.m. If you're choosing to remain here, we'll be back shortly, and we will then, after that particular time, proceed. In closed session and return to open session.
I make a motion to return to open session.
Is there, the motion has been made by Vice President Bradley and supported by Trustee Rocket Martin that we end closed session and return to open session. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none. Secretary Triplett.
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley.
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Trustee Bowens,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin,
Yes.
Lou Buchanan, she right there.
Trustee Buchanan. We have a quorum.
All right, motion passes. We are re-entering open session at 9:09 p.m. and we will continue with the HR1 resolution. Ms. Gail.
Human Resources is petitioning the board on behalf of Mr. Al Salul, who is interested in being considered for employment as maintenance technician through EduStaff pursuant to revised school code sections 1230 of section 9 and 10. And after careful review, interim superintendent Dr. Calvin Butts is recommending the continuation of the employment application process for Mr. Salul through EduStaff. At this time, we're recommending that the board accepts that recommendation.
All right, is there a motion to approve staff report HR1?
So moved.
Second motion.
The motion has been made by Secretary Triplett and supported by Trustee Rocket Martin. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Madam President,
You have the floor.
for disclosure, he is my relative, so I will be abstaining.
Thank you for that honesty and transparency, Trustee Bowens.
It's key to all of us on the board.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none. Secretary Triplett.
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Trustee Buchanan, Trustee Rocket Martin,
Yes.
Trustee, motion carried.
All right,
You were
so,
supposed to call my name and I was supposed to say abstain.
You all are so smart, just so smart and intelligent.
Sorry.
Sorry, Trustee Bowen,
Abstain. Put it on record, please.
motion carried.
all right. Next on the agenda, we have, so thank you and congratulations to the continuation of the application process, HR number 1. We are proceeding. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I put a motion on the floor that we adjourn.
Second.
The motion has been made by Trustee Bowens and supported by Vice President Bradley that we adjourn. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none. Secretary Triplett.
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Trustee Buchanan, Trustee Rocket Martin,
Yes.
Trustee Bowen,
Yes.
meeting adjourned.
All right. We adjourn officially at 9:12 p.m. Everyone have a great night.